All right, we are in our first open session. Is that what it's called?
I know I look like a portrait.
Come on, help me out, Lisa.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Should I do public comment or roll call first? All right, roll call. Let's do it.
Member Jean. Here. Member Kayada.
Here.
Member Benjamin.
Here.
Member Navarro. I'm sorry. Member Rhodes.
Present.
Member Singh.
Here.
Member Ibarra. Here. You have a quorum.
All right. Do we have any public comment?
There is none.
There is none. Thank you. All right, we're going to go to closed session. Thank you. No one listens. All right. Welcome, everyone. We will be starting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Superintendent.
Everyone, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One day.
Go ahead.
This meeting of the Sacramento City Unified School District. This meeting of the Sacramento City Unified School District is recorded. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV U-verse cable systems. The recording will also be closed captioned and video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Sunday, January 19th at 9 a.m. and Monday, January 20th at 12 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/metrocable14. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form which are located in the back of the room and give them to our communications representative along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
Thank you. So the next agenda item is our stellar students, which I have the honor of presenting to a school that is down the street from my place. So we have the Miwok Middle School Cross Country Program. So you guys can all come up here. We're gonna. All right, so a little background. On Saturday, November 9th, 2024, the Miwok Middle School Cross Country Program was represented by 13 of the team's top female runners at the Middle School Cross Country National Championships held in Louisville, Kentucky. The national meet attracts top-level middle school teams from throughout the USA, including many state champions. Throughout the season and leading into the meet, the Miwok runners knew that not only were they well-positioned to compete against the best competition in the country, they knew they were all very well prepared. Miwok finished the race with the low score of 37, outpacing second place Tavares Middle School, the Florida State champion, who finished with a score of 67. This is the second national championship for the Miwok Middle School Cross Country Program. The first was accomplished by the boys team last year, so congratulations to all the runners for a fantastic performance, and furthermore on building an empowering team that cultivates ambition, humility, and integrity. You have represented your greater school community, your families, and the city of Sacramento in a wonderful fashion. And I would love to go through the names. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize. So we have Rebecca Dixon, Harper Ferris, Maya Hiroshima Chan, Kaylee Cotto, Lucy Mendoza, Ellie Olmstead, Violet Panton, Rachel Rambleski, Reese Springhorn, Holly Thorall, Lily Warren, Sage Whitskell, and Grace Zilstra. So we do have wonderful certificates that we're going to come down, take some photos with you all, and hand these out to you guys. Oh, of course. I should not be the one talking. Please come up and please say a lot more than what I just said.
Good evening, district leaders. I'm Brian Moreno, the coach for the cross-country team and track and field team at Miwok Middle School. I'm going to speak on behalf of our coaches, Michelle Henning and Autumn Nguyen, our district athletic director, Dave Parsh, and school athletic director, Chris Latino, and our school principal, who's here, Kristen Tahara Martin. It's an honor coaching these kids. They're wonderful human beings. They're competitive athletes. They're gifted talents. On the surface, they get a lot of credit for a wonderful accomplishment and tremendous accolades, but really their story, the real champion within them is their empowering spirit that has a positive influence on their teammates, their friends, their greater team, the school community, the entire student body, and our alumni, the kiddos that have kind of blazed the trail for them. So I learn from them every day. They don't make me the luckiest coach. They make me the luckiest student. I learn from them every day. So I'm going to hand this off to two of our team captains, Maya Hiroshima Chan and Violet Panton.
Hi, I'm Maya Hiroshima Chan, and I'm the cross-country captain for the Miwok Middle School cross-country team. And I've lost my voice, so I'm going to pass it to Rachel.
All right, she would like to say, hello, my name is Maya Hiroshima Chan, and I'm one of the cross-country captains. I really want to thank all of you for inviting us here tonight. We were so honored to be in Kentucky, representing Sacramento and everyone who supported us through our journey. We are so grateful for the opportunity we had to go all the way to Kentucky and compete in a sport we love. I know for a fact that we couldn't have done this without each other. We have been there for one another through the whole process, whether it was through 100-degree training or sharing hand warmers while we were freezing in Kentucky. The dedication and determination we had to win is unmatched by any other team. I saw how we all worked together to make this title ours. This team and I know it sounds cheesy, but we are a family, and I can't imagine going through this with anyone other than them. I know that we are so grateful for people who have made this happen. Coach Moreno is a man of magic. Without him, none of us would grow both as a runner and a person. I know for a fact without him, we would not know a single thing about what a national champion feels like. I also want to thank all of the parents. They are our heroes. They didn't come short of supporting us beyond what we could ever ask for. They cheered for us louder than anyone else and have always been there for us. And I want to thank our team, not just the runners you see here today, but all 130 of us. We flew to Kentucky for them to represent our whole team was our goal this entire time. They support one another and cheered us on, even in Sacramento. On behalf of our team, I would like to say thank you for all our coaches, parents, and other runners for making our trip one that we will never forget. And thank you so much for inviting us here to tell our story.
I'm the last speaker. It's going to be kind of long, so brace yourselves. Hello, my name is Violet Panton. I'm a Miwok Middle School track captain and as of November, a national champion cross-country runner. Before I get into the good stuff, I would like to say how thankful I am for being given this chance to come and speak in front of the school board. On behalf of my team, I know we never expected to get this much recognition, other than being announced in PE. If I'm telling the truth, preparing for this amazing race was pretty difficult. We spent many hours practicing. Most of those hours were pretty uncomfortable, but we were with our best friends, and that made everything a little easier. As a result of that, I think our team has such an amazing bond with one another. We might not have known each other at the beginning of the season, but we quickly became close. From making hair ribbons and signs the night before the race to basically taking over the whole plane so we could sit together. I sincerely apologize to anyone who was on the Southwest flight with us. Yeah. One thing I know for sure is that I've met some of my best friends through this program, and I am so grateful we could share this experience. Coming home national champions is something we will never forget. We not only represented Miwok Middle School in Kentucky, but we also represented Sac City Unified and Sacramento to the very best of our ability, and I hope we made Joel proud. Miwok Middle School is a very special place with very special teachers. Coach Moreno had a plan for us, and because of him and his dedication, we were able to bring home a national championship. Coach Moreno, thank you for pushing us, believing in us, and being our biggest cheerleader every step of the way. To my teammates, thank you for believing in each other and knowing what we are capable of. Before we are a winning team, we have to be a team. And before we are a team, we must be good teammates. And before we are good teammates, we must love giving to others. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and have a good night. Do work.
Okay, now we're going to come down. We don't want the principal in here? Oh, come on. All right, moving on to item 5.0, announcements of action taken in closed session. Pass it over to Ann.
Good evening, President Singh. There are no announcements coming out of closed session this evening.
Thank you. Item 6.0, agenda adoption. Moved by Mr. Rhodes, second by Mr. Navarro. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. All right, item 7.0, we're going to go to public comment. Hand it over to Brian.
We have about 25 speakers signed up, President Singh. You want to do the full 2 minutes on all? Okay. So we'll begin with Ed Eldridge, who has 2 cards for a total of 6 minutes. Correction, 10 minutes for Mr. Eldridge.
Good evening, Superintendent Allen and the board here assembled and the members of the community. My name is Christopher Antrim. I'm from Rosemont High School. I'm the director of the Engineering, Construction, and Design Academy. I'm here today to talk about something that has been going on for the past couple of months in relationship to staff reduction. While we seem to have narrowly averted this catastrophe at our site, I'd like to talk about the manner in which all of this transpired, as I think it is a very interesting and yet alarming reflection of the way things are happening. I'm going to go over the timeline of a series of events just to kind of get it succinctly in the order so that we can understand what happened here and maybe address it going forward in the future. We're lucky at Rosemont that we have some amazing teachers, especially in our special education department, our SDC teachers. Some of the most valuable assets that we have here as they serve some of the most at-risk student populations. They deal with some of the most egregious behavior problems and issues and bring out the absolute best in students that are the most deserving of it. And therefore, we really need to find the best teachers and support them in every feasible way. Well, starting on Wednesday, December 18th, our principal received an email and forwarded it to the SDC team, notifying them at 2:20 p.m. that there was going to be a teacher that was going to be laid off. There was a teacher that was going to be transferred, gone to another school. And that if we wanted to do anything and somebody wanted to take their place and volunteer for self-surplus, the board would have to, or the school district would have to be notified at 2 p.m. the next day. So 23 hours and 40 minutes later, somebody would have to pack up their stuff and be ready to leave, which seems crazy to me, but I digress. On Thursday, the 19th, Principal Jones emailed at 11 a.m. saying that he was unaware, but now that this would take effect on Friday, so the following day, right before winter break. A staff member would have to pack up everything, alert their students, alert their parents, and then make it possible for them to leave so that they could be placed at a new site on January 6th. And then this is 28 hours and 27 minutes after the original email, just over one day. We move to 12:40 when the SDC team meets with Mr. Jones, Principal Jones, and they go over all this and what it would mean for the site, what it would mean for the students, what it would mean for the case managers, the caseload, and how it would impact the families at Rosemont High School. At 2:20, Jones emails saying that the district thankfully pushed this all the way back until the end of the semester. Now, in the interim time period, the teacher has had to tell his heartbroken students that he's leaving them. Now, as parents and family members and community members, how heartbroken would you be when your kid comes home crying that the teacher that they've built relationships with, bonds with, has established structure and parameters that are bringing out the best in your child, that they will be abandoning them? That's what our families dealt with. And it was kicked back until this week. Now, once again, this week, our teacher has had to tell these same students that, I'm sorry, even though you've seen me now for the last 2 weeks of the semester, I'm going to have to leave you. This is damaging to the trust that they have with the educational system. And these students deserve the most support, and right now we're leaving them in the lurch. Now, even though this has been pushed back, all of this transpired in a total of 49 hours and 7 minutes. This is not how we serve kids. We're supposed to put kids first. That's what we say. That's what we do. That's what we believe in. But at this time, it seemed that expediency on an administrative part was of a paramount nature, and it was going to really throw our kids to the wolves. This is not an acceptable way to treat staff members, to treat children, and to treat their families. This is not who we are as Sac City, and I urge us, as my colleagues are going to do, that we can do better. Thank you.
Superintendent Allen, board members, and the community, my name is Barbie Beard, and I teach at Rosemont High School in our SDC Language Emphasis program. On the heels of learning just this afternoon that my colleague, Mr. Bassa, is now able to stay at Rosemont through the end of the school year rather than being forced to leave tomorrow, does not negate the undue anxiety and stress that has been placed upon our whole SDC team. While it is commendable that our district reversed this decision in the 11th hour just today, This decision was completely unavoidable. With this untimely and inhumane news just a day and a half before winter break that one of our beloved and spirited SDC teachers had to be surplused, our department banded together to seek answers. We were told the next day that this teacher would have to leave before winter break, less than 24 hours notice, like Mr. Antrim said, not enough time to alert our fragile students and pack up a classroom. On Friday, December 20th at 11 a.m., we were told the goalpost had been moved until January 17th, tomorrow, the end of our semester. While this was a short win, the inevitable loss of our teacher loomed above our heads the entire holiday season. Again, completely unavoidable. Had the district acted in a responsible and humane manner, the last month of heightened anxiety would cease to exist. My worries and concerns still remain. To eliminate a teacher midway through the school year would have devastating effects on our vulnerable students who rely on us for emotional stability and a sense of connection and belonging to our school, creating a domino effect among our students and STC teachers, increasing class size, IEP caseloads, and affecting 46 student schedules. This poor decision is a result of inaccurate data and a budget issue. Lack of foresight and planning has brought us to this point, and we are here to speak up to be the voice of our students. The district says we put students first, but at Rosemont we actually do. Lastly, I would like to thank Board Member Jose Navarro for his diligence and dedication to Rosemont. Thank you.
Good evening, Board and our community. My name is Edward Eldridge. I am the Department Chair for Special Education at Rosemont High School. And today we are coming to advocate as we do for our students every day. We showed up to this board meeting like we show up for our students every day. We want to express our gratitude for the district's decision to retain our SDC teacher, but the situation has brought to light significant issues in the communication and decision-making processes that need to be addressed in order to prevent similar challenges in the future. For one, we were not informed of the plans which were evidently being discussed behind closed doors, early communication that could have allowed for proactive planning and a collaborative approach to resolving caseload discrepancies, which we discovered there were several of them that led to this decision being made. Staff were given less than 24 hours to decide whether a senior colleague would voluntarily relinquish their position for a junior teacher. And how can anyone be expected to make such a life-altering decision in such a short time frame? This is not the Hunger Games. We should not be treating our colleagues this way. The timing and execution of this process caused unnecessary disruption, particularly for our students with disabilities who thrive on routine and established relationships. While we are relieved that the SDC LD teacher position will remain, this situation was entirely avoidable. The lack of foresight in addressing caseload adjustments before the school year began highlights a critical area for improvement. And moving forward, we urge the district to implement more proactive planning, reaching out to the site to verify the information that we have on file, because there were clear discrepancies that led to this decision being made and subsequently reversed. We urge for clear communication and the thoughtful execution when managing staffing and resource allocations. Thank you for your time. Thank you for hearing us. Thank you for, again, those who worked behind the scenes to make this reversal happen within the last 24 hours, including Becky Bryant, including Tuan Duong, and those others who have really made our voice louder, just like we try to amplify the voices of the students that we represent every day. Thank you.
My name is Ernesto Bossa Jr. I am the teacher that was going to be surplus tomorrow. My colleagues urged me to dress down, but this is how Rosemont is represented. We're full of spirit, we are dedicated, and we strive for the best for our students. There's teachers like me all across the district who are getting surplused, and it's a shame that they don't have admins and departments to speak up for them. So I urge every single one of you as board members and of service to your communities, please fight for them, because I almost got misplaced. And some of my students that had come here, and I'd never ever imagined my whole life, I would get help from not only my school, but my students. Please do better for these teachers that service our district. Thank you.
Next speaker is Ernesto Bassa Jr. Okay. We have 12 speakers on the topic of literacy. We'll begin with Shauna Pitt, followed by April Javist, and then Messiah Milares.
Good evening, President, Superintendent Allen, trustees. My name is Shauna Pitt. I'm Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services at the Sacramento County Office of Education. I'm pleased to be here with you tonight. I just wanted to share a brief overview of our Sacramento County Reads initiative, which is a critical effort to address literacy challenges and to ensure that every student in our county has the opportunity to be a proficient reader. We know literacy is a cornerstone for success, and poor reading skills are linked to higher unemployment rates, increased incarceration, and poor health outcomes. Alarmingly, recent data shows that over 56% of Sacramento County students are not reading at grade level. Even more concerning are the disparities when you look at student groups. Only 22% of foster youth, 20% of homeless students, 25% of African American students, 11% of English learners, and 16% of students with disabilities meet the state standards in English language arts. First, the Sacramento County Reads initiative aims to challenge and change these outcomes. It emphasizes evidence-based reading instruction, early identification of struggling readers through universal screening, and tailored support for those who need it the most. But this initiative isn't just about schools, it's about families, educators, and community partners working together. Through Sacramento County Reads, we're laying the foundation for a future where every child has the literacy skills they need to thrive in school, participate fully in our democracy, and lead fulfilling lives. Thank you for your time and support of this vital initiative. Thanks.
Hi there. We're going to hand you some information just so that you have some takeaways with all of this literacy work that we're doing. My name is April Javist, and I am the Executive Director of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation. I know some of you. The Sacramento Literacy Foundation is the convener of the Sacramento Literacy Coalition. The foundation's mission is to help all kids read, and our goals are centered on giving kids culturally relevant books and advocating for evidence-based instruction rooted in the science of reading research. We are very motivated by the understanding that reading is the top equity skill, and the reading crisis we're all in the middle of is solvable. Over the last 3 years, we've given books to 16,000 TK, kindergarten, first and second graders. A total of about 100,000 culturally relevant books have been handed out. 40% of those have been bilingual Spanish-English, and your district has been the beneficiary of 50,000 of those books. Students from the following elementary schools have been beneficiaries: Bret Hart, Camellia, Earl Warren, Elder Creek, Ethel Phillips, Ethel I. Baker, Father Keith Buchanan, Harkness, Leotada Floyd, Mark Twain, Oak Ridge, Pacific, Sui U, Washington, and William Land. We target the schools with the highest Title I rates. Today, we want to bring your attention to SCOE's Science of Reading Resolution, which is attached in that pamphlet. We are asking this board to adopt some version of SCOE's resolution for your district. We have provided you with a copy of the resolution. So right now, only 32% of third graders in the Sacramento City Unified School District are at grade level reading, 32%. Not learning to read by the third grade takes a child's right to learn away from them. In the fourth grade, a child must be able to read to learn. If you cannot read, you cannot participate. Reading is the #1 skill needed in our information age. So we feel like it's time for all leaders in our community, that's us and you, to embrace what the science of reading has to offer students: greater equity, greater individual agency, and greater participation. Thank you very much for taking the minute to listen.
Hello, district leaders. My name is Messiah. I am with the Sacramento Literacy Foundation. Just as what my colleague, April Javis, said, 32% of children are reading at grade level. That means about 62% are not. 62%. And what ends up happening to a lot of these kids as they grow up, not knowing how to read, they become adults who struggle in finding a job, securing a home, and casting a vote. If you cannot read, you cannot participate. The Sacramento Literacy Foundation, that's all of us, our mission is to help every child read by delivering diverse, culturally relevant books to our most underserved communities and advocate for the science of reading, which is a proven teaching method that can help most children learn to read. That is why we're here tonight. Now, our organization has had the privilege of delivering brand new culturally relevant books to 16,000 of Sacramento's most underserved TK through second grade students. And this is based off of secondary research that shows that when kids are able to see themselves in their books, they can pull from their own lived experiences to become faster and more confident readers. Here's one of my favorite stories that I always tell folks. I helped in one of our kindergarten book giveaways, and I asked the kids, who here likes to read? Only a few of their hands went up. After everyone got their books, Kareem, a refugee from Afghanistan, he comes up to me and whispers, I don't know how to read. Kareem is like most of our kids who can't read. They feel ashamed. And as everyone's opening up their bag of books, I hear Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan. All of the kids are excited about one book in particular, Moon's Ramadan. And then I hear Kareem sounding out the book title, Ramadan. It's a familiar word, and in that moment, a word that he reads for the first time. His reading journey, Kareem's reading journey, has just begun. Now, our book giveaway helps us build relationships with school districts, just like your own, and teachers and parents to share tools and information about the science of reading. Our intentionality in what we do is what makes us unique. By giving books that reflect the students' lives, it gives us an opportunity to help parents help their kids learn to read. If Kareem and his classmates were equipped with the science of reading, we would see all hands rise when asked, who here likes to read? The literacy crisis is solvable. So I'm asking tonight for all of you to please adopt a portion or all of SCOE's Science of Reading resolution. Thank you.
Next group on this topic, Bina Lefkowitz, followed by Mary Ellen Shea, and then Lucero Soto.
Hello, Board President, fellow trustees, and Superintendent. My name is Bina Lefkowitz, and I am a trustee at the Sacramento County Board of Education. 2 years ago, my board made literacy a priority due to our grave concerns that less than 45% of our students countywide were reading at grade level. Our SCOE staff, as you heard, created an initiative called Sacramento Reads, whose vision is that all learners in Sacramento County will meet early age and grade-appropriate reading and literacy milestones to become proficient readers, thus allowing them to be ready for college, career, and civic life. SCOE is taking a systemic approach by promoting science of reading principles, collaborating with districts, and a heavy focus on professional development so that we can have good first instruction in our schools. We're also supporting the notion of families, students, and communities be engaged in this effort. We are grateful to Sac City Unified for taking steps to implement the science of reading. I know you're training some leaders and teachers in this approach and reviewing your interventions, and this is a great first step. Our board adopted the resolution in front of you that confirms our board's commitment to this initiative and outlines 9 principles that we believe need to be in place to transform our systems. We have joined with the Literacy Coalition and are approaching each school board in the county, our cities, our county, and civic leaders to also adopt this or a similar resolution to declare their support of working together on this goal. We ask that your board schedule a date in the near future to adopt a resolution in support of this goal. Working together, we can achieve this critical objective of every child reading at grade level. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ellen Shea, and I have been a member of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation and its predecessor for over 25 years. I believe in literacy as fundamental to the preservation of our democracy. I do not see how we can have a democracy that is aware of our situation without having people be able to read and, more importantly, to think. In this era of misinformation and disinformation, we need to have a literate society to support and defend and preserve our democracy. Nothing could be more important this particular time than for all of us to adopt the tool that will enable those folks who are not literate at this point to become so, and for those others to be able to spread the knowledge that they have incurred by the ability to read and to think. Our democracy depends on it. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Lucero Soto, community organizer with Sacramento ACT. We are here to encourage the district to adopt the resolution presented by SCOE. We want our district to prioritize literacy so that our students are prepared and be successful, as well as supporting our educators so they are prepared and equipped to providing intervention for our students and resources. I work with parent leaders from across Sac City District who, in one example, has a child that is entering 5th grade and is unable to read at reading level. As a parent, this is concerning that across our county, our students are not meeting the reading levels. By co-creating structures in Sac City, we can prioritize literacy and prepare our educators involving staff, families, students, and communities. Thank you.
Next group of speakers, Renee Webster Hawkins, followed by Elvia Vasquez, and then Maria Beltra.
Good evening, Chair Singh, Superintendent Allen, members of the board. I'm Renee Webster Hawkins. I'm a parent of 2 Sacramento City Unified School District students, and I've been active in this district for over a dozen years, including on the Community Advisory Committee, the LCAP Parent Advisory Committee, 3 different school site committees, and currently I'm serving on 2 subcommittees in support of the Black Parallel School Board Action Plan. I volunteer and appear before you because I care, like you, deeply about the quality of education that every student in our district receives. I heartily welcome this new board to the dais. I know you are here because you know that the students in our district deserve more. They need better to achieve their college, career, and life goals. And in your tenure as board trustee, you're going to be asked to adopt many resolutions, many strategic plans, approve many program budgets to improve the educational experience and outcomes for our scholars. Among them, there is nothing more important that you can do than prioritize the need for high-quality literacy instruction and curriculum for every single classroom, for every single student in this district. You've heard the data. 32% of 3rd graders can read. Only 14% of our Black students in 3rd grade can read. Only 18% of students with disabilities are meeting literacy standards. There is a direct through line between those numbers and our chronic absenteeism, our significantly disproportional disciplinary issues, and Black students being identified with behavioral, emotional, and intellectual disabilities in our district. Please deliver on the social contract with every student that they have the right to learn to read. Please agendize SCOE's reading and literacy resolution and prioritize that for our students. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Elvia Vázquez, madre en el distrito y organizadora comunitaria con Sacramento ACT.
My name is Elvia Vázquez, and I'm a mother in this district and a community organizer with Sacramento ACT.
Tengo un hijo en el distrito, él es un adolescente y muy apasionado por aprender plantas nativas, entre otras cosas. Siempre que ve un libro de este tema, él rápido lo quiere leer. Él es un niño muy entusiasmado de ir a la universidad, inclusive está tomando clases avanzadas para esto. La lectura es una de sus herramientas para aprender más.
I have a son in this district. He's a teenager, and he's very passionate about learning about native plants, among other topics. Every time he sees a book on this topic, he really quickly wants to read it. He's very enthusiastic about going to university, and he's even taking advanced classes to be able to do this. Reading is a very important tool to be able to learn more.
Sin embargo, mi experiencia como organizadora en la comunidad con padres de escuelas título 1 no ha sido lo mismo. Conozco padres que sus hijos desde escuela elemental hasta escuela secundaria no saben leer o se les dificulta mucho.
However, my experience as an organizer in the community with parents of Title I schools has not been the same. I know parents who have children from elementary school up until middle school and high school who have have a hard time learning, and that's very difficult for them.
Very difficult to read. Por favor, adopten la resolución de alfabetización similar a la que SCOI ha adaptado. Por favor, háganla una prioridad.
Please adopt a solution for having higher literacy as well, like SCOI has adopted, and please make this a high priority.
Do I still have more minutes? Mi lengua es español, es mi lengua nativa y quise hacer este comentario porque hay padres que querían hacer comentarios públicos, se les dificultó mucho porque están pasando por problemas. Fueron varios padres que no pudieron venir y por eso quise hacerlo en español, en honor de ellos.
Spanish is my native language, and I want to do this because there's a lot of parents who do speak Spanish as their native language and are not able to come here to speak in front of you guys for various reasons. And I want to speak in Spanish in honor of them.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María y tengo 2 estudiantes y líder con Sacramento ACT.
Good evening, my name is Maria, and I have 2 students at the school. I'm also a community leader with Sacramento ACT.
Yo creo que mis hijos, gracias a la lectura que les gusta leer, han acelerado el hablar mejor el inglés. Yo quisiera que ustedes, miembros de esta mesa directiva,
Okay. I think that my sons have improved a lot because they like to read, and they have improved a lot learning English. And I would like for the members of the board
faciliten el que nuestras escuelas tengan acceso a comprar libros y así también se les puedan llevar a casa.
And I would like to request that to make it possible for school to buy books so the kids will be able to take the books home.
Mi escuela no se lo pueden llevar a casa porque no hay suficientes.
At my school, the kids are not able to take the books home because there's not enough books.
Y que el distrito prepare a maestros y crear apoyos para estudiantes.
And I would like for the district to prepare the teachers and create more support for the students. Thank you.
Gracias.
Next 3 speakers, Caroline Digman, followed by Chandra Roten, and then Amy De La Salle.
Hello, my name is Caroline Dickman. I come from San Juan Unified. I am a 10th year second grade teacher. I think I was created in the laboratory to irritate my administrators. I am a 13th generation birthright friend, former employee of the prison industrial complex. I worked criminal defense for 2 years. Part of my job for 2 years was to spend half my week reading to recently incarcerated individuals. It left a profound impact on me. And I have a child with special needs. So please pass this resolution. It's hard for me to say, but I'm a really good reading teacher. And I always say my first 5 years, I cosplayed as a reading teacher. I wasn't moving the needle. Once I adopted structured literacy principles, it's astounding. The other thing I wanted to say is I don't hide hard things from my second grade students. It's one of the joys, besides my son, of my life to teach second grade students. I tell them at the beginning of the year, this is going to be the hardest thing, one of the hardest things we've ever done. And some of them have fled other countries with the clothes on their backs. And I'm asking you to bear down, and it's going to be hard, and we're going to get through this. I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be rough. You're going to stink. We're going to embrace the stink. You know, we laugh about it. And then about December, they're reading. They're reading. And it's not hard anymore. It stops being hard. I think a lot of adults need to embrace the hard. And if 7-year-olds can do it, we can do it. So, thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Allen and board members. My name is Chandra Roten. I serve as the Executive Director for Luminous Minds, and I'm also a proud former Sac City Unified teacher, BITSA support provider, and professional development coach. I'm here as a member of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation and do a lot of work collaborating with local nonprofits in our community, like Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brothers Big Sisters, all on initiatives aimed at improving literacy rates in our community. In my work with Luminous Minds, I partner with districts across our beautiful state to address our literacy crisis, close our gaps, and advance outcomes by providing science of reading aligned resources and evidence-based professional development to our teachers. Here in Sacramento, we're honored to partner with SCOE on the Sac County Reads Initiative and supporting Resolution 2418 and the implementation of those 9 guiding principles you have before you to foster literacy across our community. I'm here tonight to ask the board to consider adopting a similar resolution or initiative focused on guiding principles or standards that ensure our students everywhere have access to the right resources, content, and tools to build strong literacy skills. At the same time, I urge the board to please continue to invest in professional development and support for our teachers, equipping them with science of reading aligned based techniques so that they can become literacy leaders in their own classrooms. They want it and they need it. As you already know, and you've heard tonight, only an average of 33% of students in total are reading at grade level in our district, and I know that we can do better. I know we can do better. I commend the progress the board and the district has already made in prioritizing literacy, and I appreciate the steps you have taken to address this critical issue. As a teacher, as an educational leader, as a community advocate, I urge you to continue to do this necessary and great work to make literacy a priority. Together, we can empower every child everywhere to reach their full potential through this transformative power of reading. Thank you again for your time, and thank you for your commitment to our students.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm going to go under 2 minutes because everybody else said everything. So you guys know what you're supposed to do with a resolution, right? Pass it, write your own. I'm a parent in Sac City School District. I had a kid in special education. It didn't work out so good for us. You've probably heard that before. But one thing I did find is this literacy community that's here. So I'd like to encourage other parents to look outside the district and look in this wonderful community for people that care about all of the kids in Sacramento County and that they're going to increase their reading rates. And thank you, Bina, for the resolution, because I think it was the thing that moved us as a group in 2025 to get out there and visit all of you. This is my fourth public comment, I think, on this month. So we have momentum, and we want to bring that to you too. So please help us out. And I want you to think about the fact that we have these really passionate, knowledgeable advocates in the community that want to help. And sometimes we're going to be critical, and that's because we're spending our time to really read the details of the things that are getting presented to you. So please take that in the way that is meant, in the best interest of kids. Thank you.
Next speaker is Angela Milton. Ms. Milton has a total of 3 cards for 6 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Angela Milton, and I want to speak on behalf of my 2 children with Sacramento Unified School District and an incident that we've had their first semester of high school at CK McClatchy. I'm here to advocate for accountability, transparency, and to expose the bias and discrimination my children faced during their first semester at McClatchy High School. Administrators must be held accountable for presenting misleading evidence during student hearings and should never be allowed to omit key facts. All students deserve fair and equal treatment. Disciplinary actions should be consistent, and no child should face discrimination because they do or do not have an IEP. Our children spend 8 to 12 hours or more a day with school staff, teachers, and administrators. My children should never have been in the situation they were placed in. Principal Egan and Vice Principal Garrett Bay retaliated against them by fabricating stories, omitting evidence, and presenting false narratives. This is unacceptable. When a child reacts emotionally after a fight when they were hunted by another student and purely defend themselves, it should be common sense to recognize that tensions are high and that they need guidance, not punishment. A calm conversation about expectations and consequences for future behavior would have been appropriate. Seeing my kids, I never had an issue at school before. Instead, lies were spread about my children hitting a teacher, and attempts were made to pressure staff into supporting this false claim, which is also unacceptable. That is defamation and disrespectful to my children and to myself. When a child is out of school for over 60 days, and education support should be evident, there was no attempts after several emails to receive any support from my kids with homeschooling, which I feel like has led my kids to fail their first semester of high school. We won our deal with the school and student placement, yet the toll this took on my children, the 2+ months they've been out of school, should never happen to any student. And now I'm left to kick my kids back up emotionally and mentally. My kids now have to be uprooted, leaving a dance program, transfer schools, and attempt to build new relationships, not only with a new group of students, but also school site staff, which further deepens my child's depression. And now they have lost faith in the administration and school justice, social justice at high schools as a result. No child should suffer mental health struggles, including depression, caused by the very people entrusted to protect and care for them. An apology is not enough. Real change is necessary. No adult's ego, because they feel slighted by a student in front of others, should justify abusing their power, because this was a clear abuse of power. Retaliation, dishonesty, and manipulation by school leaders is dangerous, especially for those children whose parents can't or don't feel empowered to speak up. I refuse to stay silent. My children deserve better. All children deserve better. Lastly, I would like to add that although cell phones are a nuisance and a distraction, it is imperative that the kids have them at school. Without cell phone video evidence from other students, my children would have been expelled and the truth would have never been seen based on the poor quality or bird's eye view of cameras at McClatchy and the false narrative they tried to infer. Thank you.
Next speakers, L.V. Saman, followed by Tasha Dillard, and then Terrence Gladney.
Good evening.
My name is Elvie Saman. I am a social science teacher at Luther Burbank High School. My classroom is in the portable buildings towards the back of the school, and I often say that it is the best room at the entire campus because my classroom opens up to the Burbank Urban Garden. It is a magnificent place that we have on campus. And I heard a rumor that the Burbank Urban Garden might be cut in the near future. And I just wanted on public record that to lose this program would be a tremendous loss for our school. It would be a tremendous loss for the school community and our district and the larger Sacramento community. I cannot speak for my fellow colleagues at Burbank, though I do feel that many of them would agree with my statements. Thank you, I thought so. But I do feel like I can speak on behalf of my students on this issue. The loss of the garden, which has been so crucial for so many of them, not just the ones who are involved in the program, but all of our students who benefit from being there on campus and who benefit from going and walking in it and being around that nature. And for the students who work in the garden, who have built the garden with our leader, Todd McPherson, who wished he could be here tonight. They've built this with their hearts, they've built this with their minds, and they've tended this garden so tremendously, and they take so much pride in it. And if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to come visit it. And I encourage you to see what the students are building because it is truly extraordinary. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to try and talk fast. I am a parent of 2 children that go to Rosemont High School, and as of last week, I found out that Mr. Bassa was going to leave, which was very upsetting to me, seeing as it was the middle of the school year, and he's such a great teacher. So I just want to say thank you to whoever was able to get him back, but I feel like that shouldn't have happened. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was budgeting, but if that's the case, that should have been handled. Whoever does the budgeting, they need to be reevaluated because that should have been handled in the summertime. He doesn't need to leave. As you saw, the way he was dressed, spirit for the school. He also made sure my son wanted to try out for the basketball team. It didn't work out, but he made sure that he still makes sure that my son is still able to be a part of the basketball experience. He is very communicative with me. He made sure that my son, I go to work at 5 a.m. So sometimes my son was missing school, and he wanted to make sure that my son was there on time. It's his first period, and he wanted to make sure that he was successful. So I'm hoping that you guys can keep him here for another year. And I just don't understand why the special education department is always getting hit. These are the kids that all the kids need help. But I'm just saying these kids need special attention. They need people that care about them. They need people that are gonna fight for them. And some parents can't come up here and fight for them. But Mr. Bassa and the whole squad at Rosemont fights for these kids. And my kids have been to many school districts, Oakland and Texas. I have had to come up here 3 times for different things, and it's all about special needs. What is going on? I'm an upset parent. My kids one has 3 more years and one has 2, but I wanna make sure that you guys get it together for the kids that are following my kids, you know? So please keep Mr. Bassa, and please don't make it to where it's last minute for somebody that they might have to get up and leave, because hearing those other teachers say that is disturbing. How would you like it if somebody told you that you might have to pack up and not only leave your kids that you love because you're a caring teacher, but also possibly change your lifestyle and what you're doing at home? I don't know if you guys are teachers or have been teachers, but step into their shoes. You know, if you guys are parents, view it from our point of view as well. What if this was your child that was losing a teacher, you know? So just please, I just want you guys to care a little bit more, and whoever at the district is in charge of special needs or special education, please help us. Help the children, help the parents, and help these teachers that care, because it's already hard for you guys to find teachers. I know that for a fact. And it's really hard to find teachers that care, and these teachers care. So please, back them up. And thank you again. Keep Mr. Boston next year, please. Please, I don't want to have to come back up here, okay? Thank you, and have a great night. Thank you.
Good evening. Happy New Year, everybody. I want to take some of my time. This wasn't planned, but the Burbank Urban Garden isn't just a gym for Burbank. Every year, Mr. McPherson makes sure that he donates, often with the help of Board Member Rhodes, donates extra plants to school gardens, of which Cabrillo has been a beneficiary, Pony Express, and other school gardens. So they're literally planting seeds across the district. So we need to be mindful about how we invest in the programs like that. I'm Terrence Gladney. I'm the founder and director of the Terrell Christopher Gladney, also known as TCG Memorial Academy. Last year, I took a leap of faith and decided to step in where many of our larger corporate partners walked away to sponsor the Scripps National Spelling Bee. We're the Sacramento regional partner. Last year, I pleaded with you guys to invest in our schools. We had 66 schools eligible. We only had 3 schools participate. This year, by literally knocking on doors, we've over doubled the amount to 8 schools. All 3 of the schools that my organization provides expanded learning programming at are participating. That's Cabrillo, Pony Express, and San Brandon, which is the only middle school of all the middle schools, which are all eligible, that is going to participate this year, thanks to the partnership of Mr. Zarate. Additionally, we have Matsuyama, Phoebe, and Crocker. And because of former board member Gracie Phillips and a very generous contribution, being very intentional about supporting her Oak Park neighborhood, Keith Buchanan and Oak Ridge will be participating as well this year. And we will be hosting it March 29th at the Oak Park Community Center. This is possible because I also took a leap of faith a few years ago to step out of the corporate world and invest my time where I was already volunteering my time and make my profession my heart work. And I started implementing the Men's and Women's Leadership Academy program at multiple schools. This year, I'll be investing over 10% of that money, which is literally my personal income, into making sure this program and others are available. At every school site where we provide programming, I make sure that I have scholars who have walked those hallways and sat in those same classrooms and seats as the scholars they're mentoring, giving them economic opportunities through college and beyond to make sure that they can provide and reinvest into the roots of Sac City from which they came. That is all at risk because of funding and other issues. So I ask that you guys really prioritize, are we really using our dollars in the most effective manner to reinvest in our kids when they're here and after they leave? If we're really trying to build college and career-ready scholars, that doesn't stop once they graduate from 12th grade. How do we provide opportunities to make sure not only they have viable opportunities, but viable opportunities to reinvest in the spaces from which they came? Thank you. I left the phone up here.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you, Brian. Moving on to 8.0 Communications, SCTA.
Happy New Year, board members, board president Singh, members of the board, and Superintendent Allen. I'm Nikki Malevsky, president of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. I want to share that we think 2025 has the potential to be a foundational year for our district. As you heard at last month's meeting, and you'll hear again later tonight, significant work is occurring in the effort to improve services to students with disabilities while we combat the systemic racism that impacts our district. Much of that work is focused on designing and then resourcing and then implementing a multi-tiered system of support. MTSS, which we believe got off to a solid start with our agreement to add reading intervention teachers at every elementary school. Just this week, we reached an agreement on the new reading intervention teacher's job description. And we expect those 83 new positions to be posted very shortly and hired for next year. All of the initiatives and more are going to be incorporated into our contract negotiations that commence Tuesday, February 4th. We hope that all of us can acknowledge that we have a lot of work before us. It's also important to recognize that educators across the state have seen the progress that we've made here in SCUSD over the past couple years, and that they are looking to us, to all of us, to chart a path for reinforcing the public education system for our students, our staff, and our communities, the kind of educational system that they so richly deserve. So we are looking forward to an amazing and productive 2025. Thank you.
All right, SEIU. TCS, Teamsters, and UPE. All right, moving on to 8.2, District Advisory Committees. I will have the Student Advisory Council.
Good evening, Board President Singh, board members, and Superintendent Allen. I'm Cash Marquardt.
And my name is Oliver Sue. Today, we're here to represent the Student Advisory Council. The Student Advisory Council is made up of 15 high school students from across 7 different high schools in the district. This year, we're continuing to follow the Youth Participatory Action Research Model to critically research and analyze problems that are impacting our school community. In the fall, we focused on 2 areas: ensuring accountability and implementation of resolutions that were passed last year. These include the Gender-Neutral Restroom Resolution number 3423, as well as leading the development of the Student Mental Wellness Committee. We have worked collaboratively with Facility Support Services, LGBT+ support services, and Student Support Health Services throughout these efforts.
As we transition into winter, we finalized our project areas for the remainder of the year. These include nutrition and school meals, restorative justice and disciplinary actions, substance abuse services and supports, and undocumented student supports. In addition to these project areas, as point lead for sustainability on the Student Advisory Council, we've been working on standardizing school garden policy across our elementary schools of the district and improving school landscaping, ensuring SUSD students have an opportunity for a firsthand experience with nature. In wake of current events, undocumented student supports is our current priority. We intend to further research this topic to better understand what currently exists in SUSD and how we as youth leaders can advocate for additional services and supports. We look forward to providing additional updates, and we hope to see you all attend at least one of our in-person SAC meetings this year and continue to build relationships. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have a Community Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Superintendent and the board. My name is Charles Bolton. I serve as a teacher for the district at Luther Burbank High School, Special Education. I also serve as the vice chair for the Community Advisory Committee. Today, I'm here to give you a few updates. We had the pleasure of hosting over 100 families at our Christmas event this past December, which was a record breaker for us. And thank you to those that came out. It was a great event. This year also, our focus has been on family engagement. So every meeting we spend time educating our families on what's going on in special education, as well as we implemented a time for families to meet with our SELPA director, which has been a great opportunity for families. One thing that I'm here for today is to invite you all and our families to our next event, which is Ask SPED. So at this event, we will partner with our special education department and invite families out to ask specific questions related to special education. It will be hosted at Luther Burbank. This is an opportunity for us to build a community as well as get our special education department at the district out of the office and the Cerner Center. And we want to build our attendance as well. So as a teacher there, we thought it would be fitting. This event will be on February 26th from 5:30 to 7. We do have flyers. Krista Arata, our advisor, will be getting those to you all. That is all I wanted to update you on, but I also wanted to give a major shout out to Mr. Bassa, who I just heard about, as well as our Luther Burbank Community Garden, which is very important to the special education community as well. Thank you all.
Next up, we have the District English Learner Advisory Committee. LCAP/Parent Advisory Committee. BAAB, which is the Black African American Advisory Board.
Good evening. I'm Terrence Gladney, the chair of the Black African American Advisory Board of the Sacramento City Unified School District. Last night, on the end of this room, I sat with a couple staff members, including our SCUSD staff liaison, Danny Releri, as well as Aaron Finley, who's the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. Really just, and the rest of our members were virtual. But we were really just trying to get a checkpoint on unfulfilled, unmet promises. The recommendations of the Black African American Task Force were adopted in May of 2019. And far too many of them are still unfulfilled with broken promises, unclear timelines. Just to be frank, right now our district is in a state where you guys are worried about the bill that's come to your doorstep right now in the mailbox. You guys are reacting to something that is right in your face, but you're forgetting about the loan that you took out and the promise you met 5, almost 6 years ago. Imagine the reaction that's happening right now within our district and what the framework looks like and how everyone is hyper reacting to what's here right now. Imagine that you guys have to pay that balloon payment that's due for something almost 6 years ago that covers all of the outcomes for Black and African American students. Do we have the capacity to deal with when we come knocking at your door asking once and for all for you guys to pay up? When we sit in spaces and see other recent incidents uplifted, not acknowledging the work of our predecessors in this work of the task force, not acknowledging Julius Austin, who preceded me as chair, not acknowledging the hundreds of hours, thousands of Black families in this district that continue day after day experiencing the same outcomes and incidents that really birthed the task force and later the BAAB. We heard that there's still families in this district going through discriminatory practices. What is it going to take? Last year, I stood before you at this podium and refused to leave until I got some sort of assurance. It should not take that. It should not take us carrying the load of this entire district or the entire population of Black families for you guys to do your job, what you're elected to do. There are far too many great people on our board and have been on board to do the work for us to stand alone and not in partnership. We are aligned with the district and adopted by the district to do this work. And we have been active, willing partners. But a partnership requires two-way cooperation, and that's what we're seeking, and we cannot wait anymore. Thank you.
Next up, we have the Community Schools Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent Allen. So my name is Ian Moore, and I'm a SCTA appointee to the Community Schools Advisory Committee, and so I'll be doing an update. I'm also the current chair of the committee. And so as of now, we have hired all 18 community school specialists for each of the school sites. They are all working on and have formed most of their CSITs, which is the community schools and commission teams. And the committee, CSAC, will be meeting next Wednesday, January 22nd at 4:30 in the Pennsylvania room to look at and approve on their agenda. And so we are working hard. We are trying to just go through the work and do the best we can and to succeed. Thank you.
American Indian Education Program Parent Committee.
Good evening. I wasn't here last month, so there's new faces, and I'm going to do my long intro. Sorry. Hopefully it won't take all 3 minutes, but my name is Catalina Avendano. I'm the current secretary for the American Indian Education Program Parent Committee. This is my daughter and our high school representative, Vivian, a freshman at Rosemont High School. We seem to be a lot of us here tonight. Welcome, new board members. I look forward to being able to work with you for your tenure, as well as, the old school guys. I'd like to thank you for those that attended our November Native American Heritage event at the Met that was organized by one of our students for her senior thesis. We really appreciate the support, and I hope that you enjoyed the food and the entertainment and the company. We had a busy December. I wasn't here December, so I'm going to start there. We hosted an ornament beading class that had roughly about 25 to 30 participants, much more than I expected. Luckily, I had my children there to help me. We also hosted our annual winter party and toy giveaway. We gave away gifts to about 84 of our students, thanks to a grant. We also had pizza, games, crafts, a visit from Santa. It was a very nice event held here in this room. It's something that we do annually, and as long as we keep getting funded, we will continue to do it. We are also, our Native educator is back in action this year after the hiatus over insurance issues. We are working through 54 requests for presentations right now, and that's only at the elementary level. We're hoping in the spring we will be able to schedule in high school and middle school presentations as well. We have about 22 students working on tutoring that is through our program. Students that receive tutoring, it's based on their grades, test scores, and school recommendation. The nice thing about this year is that the tutoring is being provided by teachers at their sites on a per diem basis. If we cannot find a teacher at their site, we do go through a tutoring program, or a tutoring company, that's what it's called. And we have, for upcoming events, we have a shawl making class in the spring, an earring making class, and we have our graduation scheduled for May 25th, or May 29th. You guys will all be receiving invitations to that. And since I have a little time left, I do want to say that I forgot to mention in my long intro, I do have 3 kids at the district, all of which are in Mr. Navarro's area. I also work for the District of Nutrition. I'm a multi-site supervisor for 8 of your 11 schools. And if you want a tour guide, I'm happy to provide one for you. There's a lot of people that are looking forward to meeting you and seeing your face on their sites. All right, thank you and welcome.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on to 9.0, we're going to have our special presentations. So 9.1, Educator Effectiveness Block Grant Update with some awesome people.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erin Findley, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, and I have the pleasure of introducing our Educator Effectiveness Block Grant presentation on behalf of our Chief Academic Officer, Yvonne Wright, who isn't able to join us tonight. Joining me this evening are our partners in the Human Resources Office, Consi McCarn, Chief Human Resources Officer, Tiffany Smith-Simmons, Director, Talent Management, along with Hillary Harrell, our Director of Professional Learning, Educator, and Leadership Development in the C&I Department. Too many things in my hands. I need to turn it on. I apologize. I don't know how to use it. Okay. You can skip the next slide and go to the third one. Okay, moving on. On our agenda, which is slide 3, if you could skip to the next one, we are here this evening to share an overview of the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant and highlights of our collaborative grant work thus far, and to ask for your approval of necessary adjustments to our plan for the remainder of the grant. Chief Consi McCarn will begin with our overview.
Thank you, Erin. So our Educator Effectiveness Block Grant journey began a few years ago, and we're going to talk about that a little bit and take you all the way through some highlights that have happened since then, some adjustments to what we're looking at, what we've been doing in a revised budget for your approval. So we're kind of about halfway through, right? We've done through some, we've been able to do things in some places and not in others. So it's an opportunity to look to see what's working, what's not, what do we need more of, and how can we continue to move this work forward. So this block grant was provided to us with the opportunity to apply for professional learning to promote educator equity, quality, and effectiveness. And for us in the district, when these funds came along, we had little grants, we had things that we were thinking about, but we didn't have like a full-scale plan on how all these pieces were going to fit together. This block grant provided us the opportunity to start to build in some pipelines. Yes, it's still block grant, it's still grant funding, still an end date, so need to look for things sustainable, but it gave us a really solid foundation. So in December of 2021, at that time, the board heard about the plans and then later in a meeting adopted the block grant for us to use to move forward and support the work of pipelines, of professional growth, of induction, all things that you will hear about this evening. $8.9 million over 5 years is what the effectiveness block grant was. Again, an opportunity to do some pretty amazing things that we were thinking about but couldn't do before and put into effect. And just as at that time we needed board approval, we want to make some changes. There are differences in where we were in 2021 to where we are now. So you're going to hear a little bit about what we've done and how we would like to shift and move forward. So I'm going to invite Tiffany and Hillary to come tell you a little bit about some of those highlights.
Good evening. We are going to begin with the first area of the grant, the administrator support and coaching that we have provided since the inception of the grant. Tiffany and I started in 2022-23 school year collaborating together between our two departments with the focus on professional learning and just-in-time supports for all of our new administrators. We have continued that great work together with designing specific professional learning for our site principals in their first and second year, and bringing on training for our assistant principals last year in anti-racist, anti-bias, trauma-informed PL. This year, we have added PL sequences for our new principals, which has included collaborative coaching for all of our year one principals and a leadership academy for all APs and site instructional coordinators. Additionally, all principals with less than 3 years of experience in our district are assigned a mentor, and our mentors have been able to participate in a partnership with AXA around efficacy coaching.
Good evening. We're also here excited to share an overview of our efforts to develop leadership, strengthen pathways into teaching, and increase diversity in Sac City Unified. So let's begin looking at our work to retain our valued employees. We've created opportunities to recognize and celebrate our staff, such as our Any Way You Slice It, We Appreciate You events. These are fun gatherings that celebrate our Teachers of the Year, the nominees, and classified champions to show our appreciation for their contributions. Also, to strengthen connections, we hosted Espresso Self Fridays at Drip, a local BIPOC-owned coffee shop, providing informal settings for discussions and community building with our educators. We've partnered with Sac State and SCTA for listening sessions to gather data on our employees' experiences. These lessons learned are instrumental in improving our retention strategies. Additionally, as Hillary mentioned, we negotiated revised language in the UPE contract, which enhances the critical support our new leaders need to ensure that they have the tools to succeed. We also ramped up our recruitment efforts to meet the needs of our scholars and build strong community relationships. We attended recruitment events locally and out of state. We visited churches, we hosted community recruitment hiring fairs, and these efforts helped expand opportunities for our candidates to connect with the district. Last year, we celebrated Leap Day with Make the Leap to Sac City, a recruitment event on that extra day. Candidates hired on that day received commemorative t-shirts designed by one of our students to showcase their pride in joining the district. This year, again, with one of our students from the Met, we've introduced Hussein Academy, a series of study videos created by our student intern to help candidates prepare for the Every Child Succeeds exam. The table on the slide illustrates the hires that we have made since July 1st, 2022. It's a total of 3,533 hires. We also launched the Sacramento City Unified School District Leadership Program, Scope 1.0 and 2.0. These cohorts, there have been 3 cohorts, which have allowed us to prepare coordinators, assistant principals, and principals. 83% of the participants represent BIPOC communities, and 92% of the participants have accepted administrative positions. Scope 2.0 is also a retention strategy where we help current administrators clear their professional administrative services credential. We also have looked into teacher residency programs. We have partnered with SCOE for our traditional kindergarten teacher residency program, Sac State for our education specialist residency program, and we've designed our own residency program, The Bridge, which focuses strictly on increasing diversity at all levels at our schools. And finally, we've continued our efforts in our classified to certificated pathway. You'll see that we've had just about 70 participants over the years, and of the 70, 20 have already become teachers. Thank you.
In addition to all of the amazing work that Tiffany just shared with us all, we also have been focusing on our new teacher development through induction, but we've grown how we're supporting new teachers as well. So in 2021, our teacher induction program was accredited by the state with 9 stipulations. By the spring of 2023, with the support of this grant and our departments, the program was fully accredited. During the time between 22 and 25, we have supported over 150 new teachers every year as they work to earn their clear credential. In addition, many of these teachers stay with us for an additional 1 or 2 years because they are hired as interns or pre-interns, and so we work to get them ready for induction as soon as possible. In addition to that work, we've been able to grow the work that we're doing in our department with our new induction coordinator, Tara Lampkins, who has helped and collaborated with our C&I department to provide summer professional learning sessions specifically for our new teachers. And Each year, she is responsible for hiring over 100 support providers. Those are teachers within our district who are key and crucial to supporting our new teachers. And Tara is key and crucial to supporting them and the good work that they do. We were very excited last week to launch our first series of day-long professional learning sessions for our new teachers. This was a huge collaboration between our HR department, our CNI department, and we had 34 teachers attend, and we got great reviews for the event. We will be holding 2 additional sessions this year. And additionally, we coordinate with at least 5 universities and colleges in our state and outside of our state to provide a positive environment for our over 100 student teachers every year. The fact that we have so many student teachers makes us unique in our local area and is really, really a feather in our cap. And the majority of our student teachers come from Sacramento State, and this year we have a total of 123 prospective new teachers.
So as we shared at the beginning of this presentation, we're here this evening to ask you to approve adjustments to the initial plan adopted by the board in December of 2021. Our initial plan included funds allocated to the same year in which the plan was adopted. However, we did not expend funds until the following 22-23 school year. As such, we are requesting approval to reallocate those funds for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years. Based on the needs of our system and our ever-growing collection of new teachers, administrators, and employees, and thanks to our recruitment and retention efforts, we have identified the following areas for reallocated funding: new teacher development, teacher induction program, visa support, career pathways, and classified coaching and partnerships. This slide is here for your reference and details the amounts allocated over the course of the grant. This one is adjusted for the 4-year budget rather than the initial 5-year budget. So you'll see in year 24, 25, and 25, 26 that we've increased in line item 2, the visa support. We've also increased in the recruitment, career pathways, and classified coaching and partnership, and then finally at the bottom with the new teacher development and teacher induction program. And with that, we are prepared to hear public comment and your discussion and answer your questions and request action for approval of the revised EEBG budget. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ryan, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do have one speaker, Renee Webster Hawkins.
Good evening again. That was a wonderful presentation of sort of the overall strategies for shoring up our teaching cohort, and I am not questioning the need for all of those strategies, but I do want to raise a question about whether or not this block grant can be used for the expenditures recommended in the revised budget. This Educator Effectiveness Block Grant shall be used to provide professional learning to teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals who work with pupils and classified staff. There's a question on the California Department of Education website that asks, can the funds be used to hire new staff for the purpose of achieving diversity in the workplace? The answer is no. However, once hired, these educators and the funds can be used to provide professional learning to those new staff. 5 of the 8 line items have to do with recruitment. So I would just suggest that you look into the propriety of using these funds for those recruitment expenditures that are necessary but maybe not eligible under this grant. And I bring it up because this ties back to the presentation and the comments on literacy and the need for professional learning. We know professional learning is expensive. The training is expensive. The time for educators to be trained is expensive. To hire subs to cover their classrooms, it's all expensive. And when we have dollars like this in block grants that are designed for professional learning, please, let's use them for the professional learning, for that high-quality instruction that our students receive. So that I just would encourage you to look closely at whether or not these funds can be used for all of the activities listed in the revised budget. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to move on to board discussion. Let me turn the screen on. Any of my colleagues have any questions for our staff? Ms. Jean.
Thank you for that presentation. It was absolutely wonderful just to get an overview of the things I keep hearing whispers about and seeing the evidence of, and it's just wonderful to get like the whole presentation of it all. As you're recommending these changes, I was wondering, what has the feedback been from our folks who are participating in these programs? How has their experience helped you, like inform you on the changes you're proposing tonight? I'm specifically thinking as a teacher myself and just knowing how much the job is an all-consuming job as is. To add all these other layers, it either needs to shift the workload or feel like it's alleviating the workload on some level. So how are we addressing that? I was thinking about our admin in particular. It feels like there's such a focus on admin and we're asking a lot of them, and I already know their jobs are asking a ton. So just wondering, one, what kind of feedback are we getting from those participating? And two, how are we shifting the workload or addressing that potential of this feeling like more as opposed to an addition, like a helpfulness to the work that needs to happen?
Thank you. I really do appreciate those questions and those ideas. I'll speak first to the administrative professional learning piece. This is why in the first year we were pretty broad and we offered professional learning to all new administrators. The feedback we received is that people wanted more specific training that pertained to their actual job and the role that they were currently serving. And so we have really tailored in the subsequent years the training that our new administrators are receiving. So for example, this year, because luckily we did not have a ton of new principals, we had many returning second-year principals, we were able to dig deeper into the PL. So instead of covering broad subjects, we are deep diving into evaluation, budget planning, and now we're currently in SIPSA. So it's very targeted to the needs that they express to me. And then our new principals, our 5 new principals, we are meeting, and it's more of a consulting, coaching, included with meetings together, because I do believe in educators spending time together, not on Zoom, and also with visits and work sessions at their school sites. In regards to teachers, the majority of our support is through our induction program, and the way that induction has been built is on the idea of one teacher supporting a new teacher. As we know, and as many of us have discussed, that puts a big burden and responsibility on our teachers. So Tara, Ms. Lampkins, and I, as we are working on building not just our induction program, but our support for all new educators, we really wanted to take the time to not require our support providers to be the sole source of information for our new teachers, because traditionally that's how BITSA and induction were created. So that's why we developed the professional learning series.
Excellent, thank you.
If you don't mind, I have a couple of things. I wanted to really lift up the listening sessions that we used that Sac State facilitated and that we collaborated with SCTA. That data and that information helped kind of spearhead or leverage the professional learning series that we offered this summer for our teachers, and then also just to lift up the new teacher learning series that happened at Luther Burbank on Tuesday. We had the Teacher of the Year panel where the teachers gave real practical advice to our teachers. And so we are hearing that the teachers are appreciating the fact that we're listening, that we're seeking to hear their voice, and we are adjusting and adhering to their suggestions.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Was there anyone else? And we're confident that we're in the parameters of the block grant with the way we're allocating our funds?
Yes, I wanted to address that. So a large part of the grant is around recruitment and retention. And so to the point about we can't recruit, our focus has been growing our own. And so a lot of the professional learning, like the SCOPE program that I mentioned, we took our teacher leaders that were already employed and we gave them professional learning so that they could obtain their administrative credentials and then take on some of the administrative positions that we have in our district. So yeah, technically they went into new positions, but they were already employees of our district, and we were focused on recruiting or growing our own in our community so that our students see people that they're comfortable with, like the presentation from Rosamond earlier, and most importantly, they reflect the students in our district.
And it's the same with, we're seeing some paraprofessionals going into the teaching position as well. So we're just growing at all levels.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And a huge shout out to all of the names you've brought up and everyone doing this work. It's really vital. Thank you.
All right. I'll just say I see your staff in the back, so hi. There you go. Recognize some faces. All right. So moving on, I'll see if there's no other discussion. If there's a motion to approve.
I will move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Rhodes.
I'll second.
Got a sec. Okay.
Oh, wait, do you have to say something?
It's just a.
Oh, okay. You voted it. Okay.
So I'll just say it. So on motions and seconds, you just blurt it out. It's all good. So we need to do a student preferential vote, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
Aye.
Member Jane?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Navarro?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Ibarra?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'm going to stay right here.
All right, moving on to item 9.2, the multi-tiered system of supports update.
Good evening. I'm still Erin Findley, still Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, and I have the pleasure of introducing this presentation again on the behalf of our Chief Academic Officer, Yvonne Wright. I am joined this evening by SCTA President Nikki Malevsky and MTSS Director Matt Coleman to share a joint update on the status of multi-tiered system of supports in Sac City. This joint presentation, the first of its kind maybe ever, is a true reflection of the collaborative efforts of our MTSS design team. Among hearing related updates, we hope that you will join us in celebrating this collaboration, one in which teachers, site leaders, labor leaders, and central office leaders are working together to co-create a vision and design the infrastructure needed to transform educational experiences and outcomes for our students, especially those on the margins. In the fall, you may remember that staff presented 24-25 student outcome data to this board. Last year, 29% of our students met grade level standards in math and 38% in ELA, with disproportionate outcomes for our historically underserved students of up to 20 percentage points below that of overall district performance in both subject areas. Our graduation rates, A to G completion rates, chronic absenteeism, and suspension rates reveal the same pattern. Our standard teaching and learning practices are not meeting the needs of the majority of our students, and they are even less effective for the students who need them to be the most effective. And as you heard from our partners in literacy earlier this evening, 62% of our students not reading at grade level means that their overall academic performance is not only impacted, but their mental health and social emotional well-being. It limits their access to essential information, future employment opportunities, healthcare, and perpetuates the cycle of poverty. In the world of MTSS, we call that a Tier 1 problem, which means core instruction and practices for all students have to improve, specifically those in the areas of literacy and mathematics. And we also must provide targeted interventions to students based on their needs, not based simply on what we are currently equipped to provide. When we shared that data in the fall, the big question that rose from this board was, what are we doing differently? I'm going to hand it over to President Nikki Malevsky to share the beginning of the answer to that question.
Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. It is me, Nikki Malevsky, President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association, standing here with the academic office to talk about progress that we're making in early intervention, a topic that you have all heard an earful from me for years, right? This was a very important goal of teachers, to negotiate a well-resourced, true multi-tiered system of supports for our students. And in last year's negotiations, just a little less than a year ago, we came to an agreement that SUSD and SCTA mutually agreed to a joint commitment to design and implement a multi-tiered system of supports. And then set forth in that we would develop a process to design that system for our students. And here we are today, giving you an update on that progress. It's really, really wonderful to stand here before you and tell you that our commitments to that have been making progress. Our design team has come up with common definitions, and we're working on common assurances, teaming structures, fidelity measures, and that initial implementation proposal, which all will then need to be negotiated. But since we're all in on the design together with input from people in the field and at the district office, I think we're going to come out with something that's really, really productive for our students and can move really quickly. Just like the reading intervention teacher positions. Teachers are so proud to have negotiated that service for our students. Is something that we've wanted for a very, very long time. We think will make a huge impact for our students. It is important that we together, when this 5-year financial commitment to these positions expires, that we find the resources to continue that critical tiers of support for our students. These 83 positions we hope to be hiring very, very shortly. And we are also working on professional learning around this and around topics that teachers will find to be useful. We partnered with Sac State and did a survey earlier this year, and we hope to really design productive and supportive professional learning. And I will turn it over to Erin again.
Thank you, Nikki. Knowing that we have new board members here, we are going to give you a brief overview of MTSS and the implementation process. But first, I want to highlight the critical alignment of our MTSS framework with the Black Parallel School Board Action Plan and with recommendations and requests made by our other advisory committees over the years, the Black African American Advisory Board, the LCAP Parent Advisory Committee, and our Community Advisory Committee for Special Education. Both the framework and the action plan aim to address the historical and ongoing systemic inequities and disproportionate outcomes for our Black African American students and students with disabilities. Both aim to provide equitable, tiered support for all students with a focus on centering the needs of students on the margins. We know from educator practice and evidence that by designing our structures and practices to meet the needs of the students on the margins, particularly culturally responsive and evidence-based instructional practices, all students benefit. With that understanding, our MTSS framework addresses multiple directives and actions contained within the BPSB action plan, specifically those listed here. By integrating the action plan's directives into MTSS, Sac City strengthens its capacity to provide equitable, data-driven, high-quality first instruction and tiered supports for all students, especially those historically marginalized. This alignment positions the district to meet both compliance requirements and its core value of providing opportunities for all students to learn, grow, and reach their greatness. Matt has it. For too long, public education has served the middle. MTSS changes that. With a comprehensive integrated approach, MTSS aims to provide high-quality learning experiences to all students, targeted interventions to some students, and intensive interventions to a few students. In order to do this, an effective MTSS framework includes consistent assessment and progress monitoring practices and database decision-making, along with teacher collaboration and parent-caregiver engagement. It is not one size fits all, rather a framework that aligns our systems, data, and resources to ensure high-quality instruction, differentiated student-centered learning, and interventions to meet individual student needs. MTSS centers the whole child with equal priority on students' well-being and success via academic, behavioral, and social-emotional learning and supports. For years, we have understood that social-emotional learning is an essential component of a student's experience. More and more, however, and as we shared with you earlier this year with our culture and climate framework, a true whole child approach includes the anti-bias, anti-racist, trauma-informed practices that serve to create the culturally and linguistically responsive learning environment students need in order to thrive and be successful. High-quality instructional practices are only as good as the learning environments in which they are delivered. So in an MTSS framework, we prioritize these aspects of a student's experience alongside the high-quality instructional practices delivered by the classroom teacher. I'm going to hand this over to Matt Coleman, who is our MTSS director, so he can share our process with you.
All right, good evening, and thanks, Erin. So this visual here, this represents our design and implementation process. In the first step, you'll see the design team develops the framework and makes recommendations to the negotiation team. I'll speak a little bit more about the design team in just a slide or so. It's important to know that by design, and in an effort to have consistency and coherence, members in the negotiation space are also on the design team. Kind of what Nikki was just talking about. Once the deliverables have been drafted by the design team, they can move into the negotiation phase, where a team will negotiate over recommendations and the manner in which they'll be implemented. It's important to note that the entire framework and all of the details do not need to be ironed out or planned by the design team before making some recommendations. For instance, the design team has already drafted definitions, teaming structures, and drafted common assurances. That can move forward into the negotiation phase while simultaneously continuing the development process of other parts of the framework. Once the negotiation team has codified the recommendation into an agreement, we can move forward into the implementation phase. And I'll speak both to what that district and site implementation looks like here in just a slide. Okay, so the MTSS design team, it brings together a wide spectrum of teachers. We have general education and special education teachers in K-12. We have a counselor, a speech and language pathologist, nurse, psychologist, others that I'm not mentioning. We have site leaders, both elementary and secondary. We have central office staff, coordinators and directors of different departments, and we have SCATA leadership. The meeting spaces have been designed to foster open dialogue and create space for strategic planning. By uniting diverse perspectives, the team shapes key educational initiatives that impact students, educators, and families district-wide, and most importantly, in a very practical way. A few of the responsibilities include strategic plannings. So in strategic planning space, we develop and refine actionable agreements and deliverables that drive our framework. This is the foundation of how sites and central office will operate and how we'll align and support each other. The next part of this is collaborative decision-making, and I'll say this has probably been one of the most rewarding parts of being part of and leading this team. We start each of our collaborative sessions with an inclusive opener, and we finish each of our sessions with an optimistic closing. And for our closing, we have to take a minute to reflect on our days, which sometimes are all day and very long. And I'll say it's deeply rewarding to see how the diverse perspectives and viewpoints spanning roles, backgrounds, and education reveal new insights about the system. And this is highlighting during that optimistic closing. We engage in thoughtful, inclusive conversations to design effective and equitable solutions. This diversity enables the team to craft a framework that is not only practical, but responsive to the real-world needs of our educators, students, and families. This leads right into advocacy. If the team's diversity of thought provides agency to the entire school community. This approach ensures that we promote the initiatives most relevant to our system and that every voice, from classrooms to the central office, is reflected in our framework. We work collaboratively to continuously improve the deliverables associated with our MTSS framework. Nikki spoke earlier about some of the work we've already accomplished. Common definition of tiers, teaming structures, which is how site-level teams are going to operate across our system, and the common assurances, the things that we've identified as being high-leverage practices that we want to support and provide professional learning around. None of this was done in a silo or in one setting. We've gone through multiple iterations of development based on new learning, experiences, and conversations. It's been a process, a rewarding one. So the next two slides visualize what the implementation is going to look like here at the district and the site level. At the exploration stage, teams identify the needs and options, make decisions about whether or not to move forward in a particular idea or space, and in practical terms for our system, we explored, we decided we're doing this, we're moving forward. And so the installation stage really involves creating the infrastructure and putting the necessary organizational supports in place to be able to go into implementation. And that's really where we've been sitting with our design team, developing the infrastructure and supports that are needed in order to effectively begin initial implementation. As you can see, there will be some overlap with the deliverables associated with the installation and initial implementation. As an example, we have developed our teaming structures and definitions that can move into initial implementation while still reviewing and updating board policies around MTSS, another installation deliverable. At the initial implementation stage, team members are beginning to use agreed upon strategies and actions. And when those new practices become standard practice, or more simply put, the way a business is done, that's when we have achieved full implementation. So this is what it could look like at the site level based on our negotiation outcomes. In this visual, we would see some of the installation work starting this spring, developing site-based teams, engaging in initial professional learning around MTSS foundations and roles and responsibilities of those teams, and then developing site-based intervention matrices and assessment plans. Phase 1 site would then continue installation deliverables and begin initial implementation in the 25-26 school year. At the same time, we would begin installation in the Phase 2 sites the following year, or that year. So this rollout allows the MTSS design team and the steering committee to reflect and improve on the implementation design approach as we begin each phase of sites. On that note, I'll pass it back to Erin.
Thank you, Matt. We have ambitious next steps for this spring. We will continue our collaborative MTSS design work and the alignment with the BPSB action plan. We have already been engaged in some bargaining around positions and working conditions that support the implementation of MTSS and the fulfillment of the action plan. And we will continue to do so until we have reached full implementation at all levels across the system. And based on the outcomes of collective bargaining, we will prepare for Phase 1 implementation. As we close, I want to circle back to the celebration of this collaboration in service of our Sac City students. In this spirit, I'd like to thank our SDTA leadership partners, President Nikki Milevsky, Vice President David Fisher, and Executive Director John Borsos, all members of our design team, our negotiations team, our cabinet, this board, and everyone else we are going to ask for help in the future. And with that, we are ready to hear public comment and participate in your board discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We have two speakers, Renee Webster Hawkins and Terrence Gladney.
Perfect. Thank you.
Again, good evening. On multi-tiered systems of supports, a few points that I think bears keeping in the forefront. I really appreciate Assistant Superintendent Finley's emphasis on the fact that this is about, first, ensuring that every single classroom is a high-quality instructional environment. Too often in my advocacy and working with educators, parents, et cetera,
people have the misnomer that MTSS is about supporting the students on the margins, students with disabilities, dealing with discipline, dealing with those that are trauma, suffering trauma. This is about ensuring that every classroom has the high quality instruction. As the assistant superintendent said, you can't intervene your way out of poor instruction. And when you talk about the numbers for our literacy and our math achievement, we have a problem in our core instruction. So please, let's focus on the classrooms and ensuring that every teacher have the curriculum and the professional learning that they need to ensure that 80% of their students are achieving. That's the goal, that multi-tiered system of supports assumes that they're going to be achieving 80% success of students, and then the interventions come in to support those that are the struggling learners. And so please keep that in mind when we're thinking about multi-tiered system of supports. Also, there was an element on the list that focuses on parent and community engagement, but I don't see parent and community representatives in the design team. Please figure out a way to include parent and community leaders in the design at every phase. Thank you very much.
That's actually a perfect segue. Not in the last LCAP meeting, I think a couple LCAP PAC meetings ago, we had an MTSS presentation, and that same conversation came up. How are parents and community members engaged? And the answer or the response was, we're trying to figure out when the best time is. To which my response was yesterday. To echo what Renee said, it can't be for us without us. I want to share something with you guys. The BAAB academic achievement recommendation number 2, implement research-based intervention and acceleration strategies to close persistent learning gaps. And I'll read a subset. I won't focus on the targeted like early childhood, elementary and middle school, but see if this sounds familiar. Study, evaluate, and make recommendations on the effectiveness of approved intervention and acceleration strategies in order to address the pervasive, persistent underperformance of African American students. Then I'll move past the targeted strategies, but develop a comprehensive data-driven intervention plan of action that accurately identifies student needs and creates tiered support systems to address those potential gaps and misconceptions, including before, during, and after-school learning opportunities, as well as targeted teacher professional learning opportunities focused on culturally and linguistically relevant and responsive mathematics, re-engagement, and reteaching strategies. And it also states that there should be a biannual report on the success of Black African American students in the aforementioned areas. That's from 2019. While we stand as bystanders on the outside of this work, non-participants, let's not act like Beyonce wrote Before I Let Go, it was Frankie Beverly, like honor the originators of the work. Thank you.
All right, opening it up to board discussion. Do we have any comments or questions for staff? Yeah. Mr. Benjamin.
Okay, so thank you for your presentation. As mentioned before, I've had an opportunity to work in the district in several capacities, right, in the classroom. So I do have a question though about the site-based implementation. How do you determine phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 sites?
What's that? So we are planning to, I'm sorry, it was just Matt and I were having a discussion about who was going to respond. So how we will determine those is based on a readiness assessment. And in fact, we just had this conversation today with the steering committee, which is made up of our CNI team along with our SCTA leadership team, that we would need to do a readiness assessment with all of our sites that would include the sort of like preconditions for implementing MTSS. And then based on the readiness, and then we would do some work in order to, that would be with site leaders years. And then we would bring the same readiness assessment potentially to staff at sites. And then with the selection, with the MTSS design team steering committee, we would then analyze all of those sites and make that determination collectively. What we are hoping to do is implement with only 10 sites initially in a proof of concept model, and then study what's happening at those 10 sites and engage in feedback cycles with the staff and administrators in order to then refine the framework and the overall implementation plan. There's also, cohorts happening with the BPSB action plan as well, and so we would need to do some alignment there.
You good? All right, perfect. Member Kayada.
I am really optimistic with the future of being able to roll out an MTSS that works based on this presentation here tonight. Just seeing Nikki stand here is, like you all said, truly amazing. Not just because this board respects our labor partners and the partnership, but because they truly are the experts. We've had a lot of failed starts with a lot of initiatives in this district about, sending administrators to conferences to learn about amazing things, which I'm not saying is not great, but what's happening here in our district, what's happening that our teachers are seeing and need. So I really appreciate that. Might be lost on someone who might not have paid attention to some of our previous initiatives, but seeing an implementation plan that goes all the way out and will get all of our schools covered is really a breath of fresh air, because we've had a lot of initiatives, again, where we want to study it, we want to look at it, how's it work at a few schools, and it never ever seems to go to all of our sites. So seeing that that's part of the plan and that really is where we're going, and again, that we have our staff who know what they're doing mixed with the experts I have here in the office of Serna Center, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what you all can do, and thank you for the update.
Thank you. Student member Chu Griffin.
Thank you for the presentation. It's just one thing I would like to see in MTSS framework and planning is student voice and feedback, especially including students in feedback cycles after initial implementations roll out. Because I think if we're talking about whole child education, part of that is also giving students some sort of autonomy in their education and the opportunity to say, hey, I think this is working and I think this isn't, and modifying things based on student input.
Absolutely incorporate that.
Yeah, I'm just going to speak to that a little bit, and the community membership also, and just parents in general. One of the things that we're getting to, and we're going to probably talk about on next Tuesday when we meet as a design team, is the fidelity measures, which is, are we doing the things that we say we're going to do? And part of the fidelity tool that's been developed by California for the MTSS framework that we're going to look at is around community involvement, parent involvement, and student voice. So that's kind of part of the framework of things that site leadership teams should be looking at when they're making site-based decisions. It should be inclusive of the entire community.
Member Jean.
If we can go back to slide 9, I found this so beautiful in that step 2, when it doesn't happen, is what causes so much chaos, right? Because you can have all the design team and all the framework and all the ideas, but then if you go straight to implementation without having gone through all the processes along the way, that's where things really do fall apart. And so I wanted to kind of highlight the amazingness. Member Kayada already said it as well, but just the collaboration and the excitement to hear that education is an incredibly beautiful and daunting task for anyone who decides to be a part of this. And every single one of us folks who decide to step into an educational space, whether it's our amazing classified staff that are driving buses and working in cafeterias and working as professionals and aides, to our teachers, to our site admin, to our district admin, to those of us that are on the board. It's trying to bring all of those pieces together as the expertise in the spaces that we're in to create spaces, to create systems that work. And I'm excited to just start seeing how this starts coming together for long-term systemic and cultural change that we can be very, very hopeful will end up being amazing outcomes for every single kiddo, which is why we're all here, right? And what we're trying to see happen. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and I can't wait to keep hearing more and more about how all this keeps happening.
Member Ibarra.
So I also want to echo some of what has been said already, and great job in the presentation, and love the whole, collaborative effort. That's one of the things I'm very passionate about is collaboration. With that said, on slide number 6, I just want to double back and when I look at bullet points 5, 6, and 7, so the 3 of them kind of come hand in hand when I think about the approach that the district currently has when it comes to how their professional development is in the beginning of the year. So I don't see there needing to be a lot of change in that aspect. But what I would like to know or see is what are we doing to ensure that once we are giving these professional developments, the teachers are actually understanding the processes for multi-tiered systems of support. And this comes from personal conversations that I've had with teachers recently, actually, like in the last 2-3 years, where I've been the person to say, so like, this is a social emotional school, so can we look at the multi-tiered systems of support and talk about how we got to where we are right now? Right. And so that has brought an awareness to me that, yes, we are offering the professional development around these things, but how are we ensuring that there's an actual understanding of what that means from the classroom teacher so that it's not so awkward in those situations, right? And I don't expect an answer tonight, just so you know. These are just things that are like on my radar, right? And then the other thing, just that I'll tie back to this, and then I'll let you kind of respond to it, is when I think of family and community engagement, I also think about other things that we've implemented, like SEL and PBIS, right? There's a lot of education that also is done at the school site, whether it's like what they're posting on their walls or information that admin is giving out. Are we going to be doing the same thing with MTSS to ensure that it's reflecting the procedures that we require a family to go through when they have a concern or when they feel like their rights as families or students have been violated, right? Like we have a protocol, and how is that going to align so that, yes, it's great that we have the collaboration putting it together, but so that when we're implementing it, there's harmony, right? And so those are just some of the things that are coming to mind for me. So I know that was a lot of information.
Matt is actually prepared to give you some answers tonight, so we'll let him respond a little bit.
At least a little bit. I think, yes, doing professional learning and hoping that it works is the hope and pray model. And what we're going to propose is that we do a PL heavy or a PL light and coaching heavy model, where I'm actually on the site with the site leadership team going through the resource inventory and developing the matrices together so that the staff is embedded and involved in what's happening on their site. So in the way that we hope to design it, they'll be coaching alongside teams and teachers as they're getting, not just coming to the central office and do professional learning and then hope that it goes back and works. But we're going to train you on what you need or what your site leadership team is requesting based on the data that you have, and so that we can be kind of systematic about providing that instruction or professional learning to the teachers and community members, really.
Member Navarro.
So wanting to echo what everybody has said about collaboration, right? As I saw Nikki come up here as part of the group, I was really excited. I ran a campaign based on being a part of a district that does this, right? And not to put any pressure on you guys, but the state, maybe the country will be looking at how we do this. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to being successful and having a successful implementation of MTSS. And thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the work.
Perfect. Thank you. I think I'll just, seeing no one else, Mr. Gladney is not here. So I will just address the fact that he mentioned something. So if we have something that does address some of the promises that this board has made, that we included in our presentations for the future, so folks in the community can see that we are working towards those goals. So we are working towards those promises. I know it's not always clear, and none of us were here in 2019. So even, right? No. Okay. Just making sure. I looked at our senior member Rhodes over here. In 2020. So I want to make sure that community understands that that if there's something missing that you all can address in your presentations, because folks do see that. And then similarly, in the next presentation that we have, we elaborate on the parent participation and the student participation, so folks can see what the design team talked about, but also how you plan on engaging folks, so that way we're actively addressing the public comment that comes up here.
Thank you.
All right, so it's an information item only, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
.3, we have an update on Measure D election results with Mr. Ralston. Yeah, that's Chris. We see your son.
This is Logan. It's the two of us. It's my son. It's the two of us for a couple days while the other half of my family is traveling, and we had a middle school game and we came over here, so nobody was late to anything. President Singh, members of the board, Superintendent Allen, it is my pleasure to ask and talk about the certification of election results for Measure D, a $543 million bond on behalf of the school district. Before I do that, though, I want to reach out and thank a few people, groups along the way. We want to thank the campaign, the Friends of Measure D, and future leaders, ran by an amazing person and friends that helped raise more than $250,000 to get the word out to our voters. We need to make sure that we thank our construction industry partners. They are the fundraising arm of that campaign, and our builders, our contractors, all participating in walks and dinners and tickets and fundraisings of all sorts. We also want to make sure that we celebrate and recognize Sac City Teachers Association, who contributed not only financially, but through sweat equity, asking their members to go out and knock on doors. They handed out more flyers and yard signs than any other event that we had. I want to thank SCIU for their support, talking with other directors in facilities across the county and then in the state at our industry. Nobody has labor partner support. They have not received financial contributions. We may be one of the few, if only, and that just shows their backing of what we're doing in facilities, the importance of an education system that is well-funded to continue these classrooms that will make a difference in our future leaders. And then, of course, thanking our board members who participated in community events with us, talking at Member Kayade, talking at the neighborhood associations, asking all sorts of questions, all the events that we participated in, all the door knocking that our new board members did on our behalf. It was really a community effort. And because of that, a resolution 3469, to certify the election passed by 74% of the voters in our area, the highest of all school district bond measures passed. And this resolution will be entered into the meeting minutes and then sent over to Sac County, which will then authorize our business department to begin the work of financing our $543 million bond. In consent, you will also see a CBOC item, which is required by the certification of this election, that we create a bond oversight committee. We will be rolling in Measure D into our current bond oversight committee that already exists, and that resolution is in consent. With that, I could take any questions.
Do we have any public comment?
There's none.
All right, board discussion. Is there some comments from our board? Member Jean.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, that was an easy comment.
I'll take 7 or 6 more.
Congratulations.
I'll just add that that I think the percentage is pretty remarkable. I think there's always work to do at our school district. There's always work to do for our communities. And some of the comments and public comments we hear are oftentimes very difficult to listen to. But when you have 74% of support, that means people of all colors, red and blue and purple and pink, and viewpoints and voter viewpoints align to make sure that they realize the importance of funding our schools. And I also just want to thank you for the effort that you put in. I think having you and your team, Chris, really showcase to the community in your presentations on what $500+ million would look like is what made it easy at the door for folks, for them to talk about the work that we're doing. And then, of course, I want to, the most important piece is thanking the voters, right? I want to make sure we thank the voters, many of whom are parents who are in our district, who, if it's not going to affect their children today, they're willing to put in an investment that may create a better school site, a better location for their future generations, for their future children, and for our SEIU and SETA members and administrators and folks who work in our district, realizing and recognizing that I think everybody likes new sites, everybody likes new buildings, and shiny places to work at, and ensuring that that creates the best atmosphere for our children. So I just want to thank you and everybody who I know in the back, and we're not gonna, I don't know if you want to name them all, but there's plenty of people who went into this. So the friends of Measure D, I'm appreciative of them all. So thank you. All right, is there a motion? Okay. Member Rhodes first and Member Kayada seconded. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Benjamin? Oh, okay. Member Navarro?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Ibar?
Aye.
I'll move.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so item 10.0, Board Workshop Strategic Initiative. This is me. I could be down there, but I'll do this from here. I want to talk about with our colleagues and for the public. It's very simple and very straightforward, which is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have literally 8 district advisory committees at the moment. And given the new makeup of our school board, I want to make sure that our community and our new board is aware of what each committee does. And I think it'd be a great time for a refresher. So tonight, I do not plan on making any appointments to chairing any of the committees or anything like that. What I plan on doing is at least acknowledging that we do have these committees, but also acknowledging that there is conversation and calls for additional ways for us to support our communities. And that call may result in possibly a board discussion where we talk about adding some additional committees, a committee or 2. So that's what the purpose of 10.1 is tonight. In order to do that, I do want to ensure we have community feedback. So as usual, we'll move it to public comment and then we'll have a board discussion afterwards to hear everybody's thoughts. So I'll ask if we have any public comment.
We do not.
Oh, I think it was accidentally under 8.2, so there should be public comment. It's okay.
Apologies, there are 11. All are donating their time to Aaron Leone.
Okay. Come on up, Ms. Leone. And when we have, the most we dedicate to a single topic is 15 minutes, so I will allocate all 15 minutes to Ms. Leone.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Erin Leone. I am SCUSD's Teacher of the Year. I am a generational alumna, and I am most importantly a student advocate. We are here on behalf of the Alliance of Anti-Racist Educators in Sac City Unified School District. We have been advocating for a district-wide accountability and restorative justice policy because of the harm that is caused when educators act without accountability. Students, families, and school communities have been left to deal with the consequences, while systems for accountability and restorative justice remain absent. Our proposal is a direct response to the harm that has been caused by educators and the system that enables harm to go unchecked. Our proposal represents a commitment to equity, accountability, and restorative justice in our schools and in our communities. We are encouraged to see the board consider forming a committee to address this critical issue. Tonight, we urge you all to vote yes to create this committee. Our proposal is rooted in restorative justice practices, which is a framework and a practice that centers healing, accountability, and community restoration over punishment. It's modeled after indigenous practices, including both Native American and African traditions, where the focus is on repairing harm that is done to individuals and communities through dialogue, through mutual understanding, collective responsibility. Instead of focusing solely on punishing the wrongdoer, restorative justice emphasizes the need of those who have been harmed and the responsibility of the community to come together and address the harm and restore relationships. It's a process that values healing over retribution, creating an opportunity for transformative growth and reconciliation. The groundwork for the proposal has already been laid by the Alliance of Anti-Racist Educators, and the foundation is strong. What we need now is a committee to bring together all of our stakeholders, students, families, administrators, educators, and community members to finalize this policy and move it toward adoption and implementation. While we are excited about the possibility of this committee, we want to emphasize the importance of structure and accountability. This work cannot stop with tonight's vote. For the committee to be successful, it must operate in phases with clear and actionable steps. It must establish timelines and deadlines to ensure progress and prevent delays. There must be a commitment to transparency with regular updates to the board and community. And we must maintain focus on the ultimate goal, which is the adoption of an accountability and restorative justice policy. We are grateful that our voices have been heard, and we're grateful for all of you for taking this step forward, but we also know that there is still a lot of work to be done. Together, we believe that we can create a transformative policy that ensures accountability, that restores harm to our school communities, and protects the integrity of the teaching profession and the integrity of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to open it up to board discussion. So as I said earlier, we have multiple advisory committees at the moment, and I'll first open up to questions and comments, and then I'll lead from there.
So for me, one of the things that we talk about restorative justice and anti-racism policies and things like that, committee structure would make the most sense because we have to have all stakeholders on board, and we have to do the work, the deep work of that, meaning parents, our educators, our HR folks, the negotiation folks, all these people have to be in the space because some of these conversations aren't as easy as just saying this teacher did something, they have to go, but it's more or less like, well, what are the parameters and we have to work, and then how do we bring community along with that? And so I think a committee structure would be advantageous, especially in the space we are right now, to really dive deep and for all our communities. So I would support a committee structure just around anti-racism policy that really impacts, and the things that we've talked about. I mean, multiple people, not just this here today, but multiple, Terrence has come up here, all kind of people have come up and said, we need to work on these things. And so right now in this committee structure, with this new board, with our collaboration from all across our district, I think we're in a space to move forward.
Thank you. Member Ibarra.
I don't have, you actually said a lot of what I was thinking. So I only have a question. Is the proposal that this board will be like indefinite, or is this the proposal that we're creating this board solely for the focus of creating policy? Like, I would like to understand, like, moving forward, what is the end goal? Yeah.
So thinking about and you can jump in if you need to, but under the purview and that we agree as a board, we would tonight agree to create a committee. We would need to vote on it at our next board meeting. And then that's why I want to have a presentation on what committees do, so that if we have any adjustments we want to make in alignment with what folks are asking for, we can make those adjustments at our next school board meeting. So for example, if tonight we say we want to create a committee, at the next school board meeting, we'll have a presentation of committees, then we'll have an understanding of how those committees are formed. And so everybody's on board on how committees work, what the process is. And then we can really get into the work of ensuring, and then the committee can make, the committee itself can actually do the work of clear and articulate steps, regular updates, adopting policies. That is all the work of the committee, so that the folks can come back to us with the feedback that they've gotten from community, from the spaces that they're in. Similar to how we have multiple advisory committees, many of them present, some of them don't. And our hope would be that any committee that we form, if we agree to it, comes to us at those bi-weekly meetings here at the school district and presents those updates to us. They're not for us, they're for community. And that's something that folks know.
So the proposal. So just to clarify so that I'm understanding correctly, the proposal for tonight is just to say whether or not we are in agreement, the vote, right? Like, okay.
Yeah,
and then after today, moving forward, we will have an answer on what the specifics behind the committee will be.
So tonight, we would basically have an agreement and understanding that I would be calling for us to create a committee, but we will not be voting on it tonight. That vote will happen at our next meeting. We have, following protocol, we have to hear the presentation and say, this sounds good. This is something we heard from the community, from public comment, and then we would be able to vote and create.
Yeah, yes, tonight is just a discussion to get board feedback on the committees and the structures and the scope, and then coming back at the next meeting to actually take action on those committees and the appointments.
Thank you.
Member Kayada.
So I had some comments on this particular issue, but then also a larger, so I'm not sure which.
Do both.
I know we have a bunch of people standing here, so.
We can address
Okay.
this, and then why don't we address this particular committee
just wanna
real quick,
respect
and then
that
folks
on
can
their
sit
feet.
down, and then we'll address if there's any other committees that folks want to create.
Okay, so with respect to the public comment we have, as I have told Ms. Leone before, I am very much in support of the district looking into a way to address this. And I believe that forming a limited purpose committee to identify a means to implement your proposal that you brought to us multiple times is the most appropriate way. I am in support of that. And then in terms of, why I'm recommending limited versus, permanent standing committee, I think I'm going to get into that a little later because it relates to some of the other committees. But in short, my feeling is that in order actually to address what Mr. Gladney raised earlier, when you have a committee that is providing advice to a board from 6 years ago based on problems that multiple boards ago have had, it's difficult to ensure accountability. A limited purpose committee that has a task that it will do and come back to the board with a recommendation, I think is the most effective way to make sure that we get something done. And also, as Member Rhodes said, to ensure that we're bringing everyone together. I very much appreciate the fact that so many people have put work into this proposal, but I don't think it's appropriate for this board to just take a policy that has been brought to us. In the same way, I don't think we should just take a resolution that comes from off the street. We have to make sure that everyone who's involved and impacted has a say. And that really is the point of the committee. And then I would say, I think, to the extent a board member is interested, it would be good to have board member participation, so that, it's not just a surprise when it comes back to the board. But that's my thoughts.
Thank you. Member Jean.
I'm really excited that we finally got to hear. Thank you for your words again, and that we're having this conversation. It's a vital one for us to move forward. And I fully support the idea of a committee that brings all the parties together. Because as an educator, I have so many questions about how we would effectively move forward together on this. So I want to get the voices in the room that need to be there. And then I have a lot to say when we're ready to start talking about all the other committees.
That's fair. Member Ibarra. Okay. Member Rhodes. You're still on here? Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll say something else then. It'll be quick. It'll be quick. I promise you. Everybody has kind of already spoke about it, but the committee also has to have representation from all of the parties, and just wanted to pin that there as this is what we want in the committee. It's supposed to be well-rounded, all the voices involved, so that the board can have a clear picture and know that this has been worked on and in agreement. So when it comes back to us, we can be like, okay, we're moving forward together.
Student Member Chu Griffith.
Yeah, along with what Member Rhodes said is I think Student Advisory Council, we've been trying to work on issues like restorative justice, and one of the issues we've run into is it's really difficult to actually contact and work with all stakeholders at once without it being a very lengthy process. So I think having an advisory committee and the central place where all stakeholders are present would be the most efficient and beneficial.
Thank you. So I'm going to try to figure out where we're at. From hearing from everyone, it sounds like we're in favor of moving forward with the idea of creating a committee. We have some conversations that we've already having up here. There will be some sort of proposal on whether it's limited or not. I think it would be appropriate, just personally thinking about the goal of this committee is to create and come up with a practice. If the committee is able to reach the goal of creating that practice, then it has fulfilled its duty, right? And that's very different from a student advisory council that is going to continue hopefully forever, as long as there's a school district. So from hearing that, all the other things that you touched upon, Ms. Leone, around the clear and articulate steps, regular updates, all that is something that will be discussed once the committee is formed. And that's up to the purview of how the final version of the committee will then be able to meet regularly. And what I would be doing at the next school board meeting, if this is brought forward, which sounds like it will be, we will be able to then assign a board member who will be probably, if we agree, a liaison, who will be the person who is present or is able to be present when possible, and can also help us guide conversations that you all have had. We have folks who are assigned currently. I think there has to be some board discussion generally in how we want to maybe shake things up for the future. But hopefully that gives you the answers that we're looking for. I don't know if anybody has any further questions. Yes, Mr. Navarro.
Just in terms of limited and non-limited, are we waiting to discuss that in next meeting, or is that something that can be brought?
We should discuss that now. So if you have any thoughts, only thing I've heard so far is limited. If you have any discussion that says unlimited,
I think it should be permanent. I think that, with most projects, the initial implementation is good, but there's always a maintenance requirement. And so I know I'm taking an analogy to other stuff, but I think it applies, right? I think we need to follow through and continue the conversation, and I think the committee is a good way to do that, and not having to limit it to a specific time. But that's my thought on that. We would have a permanent committee that could revisit this, or if there's other issues, all the time, or continuous basis, basically.
Thank you. Member Jean.
So, kind of to talk about the limited purpose or not, I'm going to go ahead and introduce talking about all the other committees. I've spent a lot of time thinking through the many committees that we have and thinking through how do we. There's this consistent feeling we get in comments that certain voices are not being heard. Or not part of decisions, or there isn't space. And then we hear from the committees that they feel like they're not being heard or there's not space. And it's like if you're a board advisory committee and your goal is to advise the board, why is there this feeling that you're not being heard? Like, what is it we need to change in our practices or clarify as a board as to these committees? And so I've really been going through them. Like, there's certain committees that are very much legal requirements. For example, the Local Control Accountability Plan requires that parents have input on the LCAP. And so the LCAP PAC is a space of that. However, that plan also requires educators be in the room and students be in the room. It's all stakeholders, so I find it interesting that our current LCAP PAC focuses on parents, but not necessarily all stakeholders. So I'd love more information on how did our PAC come together the way it is, and et cetera. I know that the CAC committee, special education, because we are on OSELPA, is important or is legal required. I know that DLAC is legally required because of the number of English learners, multilingual students we have. I believe because we've received a grant, the American Indian Education Program Parent Committee is a legal requirement of that grant. I know that the Community Schools Advisory Committee, what came together through an MOU bargained with SCTA and a resolution that we passed. The Student Advisory Council, I don't know where it came from. I love that it exists. I love the program and everything it's doing, but I don't know that it's a legal thing. I think it's something we've established. And Black African American Advisory Board, I heard that was established in 2018-19. But again, I don't think it has legal requirements. So there's an element of what do we as a board expect or are looking for? What is it we need? And so I heard our lawyer mention like structures and scope. Member Kayada, I heard you mention limited purpose. The things that were in my head is like, does each committee have a clear purpose? This is why you exist. A clear charge. This is what you need to do. And a clear membership. This is who needs to be in the room to achieve that purpose and that charge, right? And that it would make sense if these are advisory committees, they would be in line with whatever laws we are required to follow, because as a school board, there's the state and the federal, and then there's us, and then there's all the experts and educators, and then there's us. So what is the us part of it that we need to be very clear on for our committees? And for us to understand, like, yes, I want to be a liaison on that. I would love to be a part of that purpose and that charge and facilitate a feeling of inclusion and a feeling of multiple voices being in spaces, and that when somebody says, hey, special education, I'm really struggling. Hey, our CAC is a thriving space for you to go, to be heard, to get information, and the board is going to hear about what's going on in this space as well. So I'm looking forward to a presentation that helps all of us get on a similar page, because I'm still figuring it all out. And then to move from advisory committees to board committees with just us, right? So the committees that happen amongst us to facilitate the work we need to do. I know in the past we've had a communication committee. I don't know if that's still in existence. I know I was on and we had one meeting of a legislation committee. I don't know if that's something we still need or want, but I do want to actually propose we need a policy committee. Our overarching board policy is incredibly antiquated, is in many places illegal in not lining up with current federal and state laws. This is a huge problem. And it is frankly filled with language that is old, not up to date, and as a result, full of racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia and so many things and policy is the 7 of us job. And policy is the law that every one of our employees is held to. This is a vital thing we need to address. So I really do think we need a policy committee with 2 or 3 of us appointed to that. And shockingly, I'd love to be on it. So that was a lot. Thank you for listening. And thank you all for standing. I would say, like, if you want to sit now, we're going to go into lots of conversation. But thank you.
Thank you. Recommend a procedural request. Go ahead. Hi, Justine Massey, resident here in Sacramento. And I just wanted to thank you for all the discussion. And if possible. If this will be a recurring meeting, decisions brought to the board and with public input, reports from the committee, if this could be possibly an earlier item on the agenda, that would ensure that there's engagement. So hopefully I'm not planting any seeds on how to sabotage, but that would be really helpful so that especially these hardworking educators can participate and still show up early for class the next morning. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll just address that if the committee was formed, it would be under item 8.2. So that would be before, generally before special presentations. So this is because it's a board conversation that it's towards the end, because it's just us talking. All right. But please, feel free to have a seat. We're listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Member Rhodes.
Okay. I think I pressed this maybe like 15 minutes ago, so let me jog. Oh, they limited to permanent, just addressing Trustee Navarro's request. Say it again? Go ahead. Say it again? No, go ahead. Okay, yeah. I think I misunderstood what you did, but go ahead. Oh, okay, great. No, but go ahead. I'm going to reclaim my time then. Yeah? Okay, so the thought process, I think that, when we talk about continuing to have some type of updates or quality control, I think two things on that point. One, that's a purview of us, and then also that could also be folded into one of our committees like the BAAB. Like after the policy is passed, whatever happens with it, I think that can be folded into that kind of work and update. So I am in favor of the limited scope because it's more outcome-based than just having something that stands and recurring them coming back. So that's what my inkling would be, to go with Member Kayada's initial statement.
Thank you. Member Benjamin.
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes ago too, but let me just say I was glad to see, I had the opportunity to teach a men's leadership class at Burbank, and so to see those teachers is really solid, and we've been talking about this, so I support, the formation of a committee too. This restorative justice thing, it has to be woven into the structure of what we're doing. And so, it's very important. I always tell people, working in education, and it's really a calling, it's not a career. And so we have to safeguard and make sure that, our students are, given the proper education that they need. And inside of that, as we said, a lot of times when things do happen, it becomes this, we look at what's punitive and not what's restorative. And so I like this, and I'm in support. So that's what I was, sorry.
Member Kayada.
So we jumped into this, so I want to thank Member Jean for reading about half of what I had written down here. Should come as no surprise, because I think of everyone on the board, I've talked to her probably more than anyone else combined, maybe even including the superintendent. So no surprise that we're aligned on that. I definitely support having advisory committees and also having board committees that allow us as a board to get down and do the work. I definitely would support a policy committee. I think Member Rhodes was there too. Member Benjamin, I'm not sure if you were there, but at the state conference for school boards, there was a couple presentations on renewing our policies and services that we can get. And I agree, for all the reasons Member Jean stated, that we should definitely do that. I think it could go with our legislation committee, or it could be its own, but either way, we need to get that work done. When I look at the committees that we have really two purposes, and some of the committees meet both and some don't. But we have some that basically serve as a community forum, a way to constantly bring people together who have a shared interest in improving our district, and when necessary, to advise the board. And we have some that are truly advisory, and those are more the statutory ones, where they're always kind of letting us know how we're doing. But that really is their intent. It's not necessarily just a place to come together. I think about the Community Advisory Committee, the CAC, for example. A lot of their charge, and over the years I know that committee has changed, having been involved in it, but sometimes it really is like the district needs to do this and this and this for special ed. And sometimes it's kind of where it is now, as we heard earlier from their report. We need to bring people together. We need to let people know where to find resources. And so that's why I kind of think with the committees that we do have established, I think we should be clear in understanding when their role is to kind of support community and provide a space, and I think that that's definitely important, and when is the point when they are providing the board direction. And I think, in my mind, the best way to ensure that the board acts on the work that our committees put into, it's hundreds of hours that a lot of these committees have devoted to improving our district. I would like to know almost, before they spend too much time on it, like what is the charge, and maybe get some board direction on what we need from the committee in order to act on this. Because it really is frustrating to me with the BAAB in particular. We have a lot of work that they've done, which predates all of us on the board. And, I was watching some meetings back then. I've gone back and watched a few more, but it's not contemporary to me. I wasn't involved with the issues that resulted in creating the committee. So I need to understand not just, these are 12 things that we get an F grade on, and well-deserved grade, but what do we need to do over the next 6 months to a year to get real action? And then that kind of ties into what I was mentioning about this restorative justice, anti-racism committee that we're talking about. To me, it's almost, whether you're a limited purpose committee or a single scope committee versus a permanent standing committee, it comes down to what is the charge you're currently trying to fulfill. So if we create this committee and it has a current charge, which is to develop a policy that follows on the work that Ms. Leone and her group have done. Okay, when that charge is done, do we have a reason to renew that? Is there a new charge for this group? If not, let's figure out where to go. But in any case, I really just want to take the opportunity as well to tie back to something I mentioned about 6 months ago, and it does relate to the CAC actually, which is there is times when I think the board needs to take an active role in setting our own direction. If the committee that could serve that is not necessarily addressing a charge that we're looking to be addressed. So to the extent that, as Member Jean said, we create committees of the board, whether or not we bring community into that, I think, for special education in particular, having a space where a couple board members can look into that and really delve into it, and then come back after a couple months and report back to the board, what have you done? And not just for that's an example I'm giving, but just for us to be open, because it's really difficult to get all of us together when we do. It's a public meeting and hard to get into the details when you're sitting here on the dais. We're not at a table sharing ideas, writing on blackboards. But just to have this body be open to saying, hey, why don't we put 2 or 3 of us together in a room right now and let's get into this and we'll report back. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I think that was a little meandering, more than I intended, but I appreciate you all listening.
Thank you. Member Navarro.
Yeah, so I got to say what they were saying. It's been like 50 minutes, but yeah, no, it hasn't been. Sorry, it has been like 50 minutes, like they were saying now. Just kidding. So, I mean, I do support what Tara is saying about establishing a policy committee. I can be convinced on the limited part on that, like an ad hoc type of committee. I'm fine with that, and I also like Taylor. I remember Kayada's idea of being open to the idea of committees just as board members, where we need to, if we need to iron stuff out, and on a temporary basis, they don't have to be permanent. I think the governance and policy committee does have to be a permanent thing, and not because I want to be on it, but yeah. So, and I think no, I'm not volunteering. But yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Member Benjamin. Are you still okay? I'm gonna clear you over here. So I'm going to try to take all this, although superintendent has been taking meticulous notes, which are better than the ones. We should only have one agenda item in 2 weeks. It should be board committees. I will just add that at the end of the day, I think it's good to revisit everything. We have an opportunity as this board to redesign, redefine, and revamp our entire process. So I think it's fair, minus the ones that are legally required, for us to revisit as a group any of the committees that we have, because the impact of a limited or ad hoc committee is exactly that, which is you put a limited scope on something, and then if that limited scope switches, then we bring the committee back to work on something new. But using, whether it's a good example or not, if we have a committee that feels like we have not accomplished anything in multiple years, then maybe at some point a board, which wasn't us at that time, should have talked about adjusting what the committee is supposed to be doing or what the board is supposed to be doing for that committee. So I like the idea of hopefully we can revisit in 2 weeks the idea of even perhaps changing up how our committees currently function. And I don't hear anything against a policy committee, and it sounds like someone mentioned governance, but I'm assuming governance/policy is what you were trying to say. So, and then it sounds like the opportunity of bringing forward something that sounds like a restorative practices committee, and we'll dive deeper into that. So I know you took all those notes, Superintendent. So it's 2 pages of notes that I see over here. But that will close us out. So I appreciate just the conversation and the discussion, and I'm excited. So thank you. All right, so moving on to communications, 11.0 student member.
Awesome. Happy New Year, everyone. Before I get into stuff happening in 2025, I want to thank Member Ybarra for coming in 2024 last year to West Campus's rally the day after her first board meeting and really showing up for her schools. I also want to address that this week is finals week. Congratulations. I think most students are completely done with their finals. But I also want to acknowledge that finals is a really stressful time for a lot of students, and I don't think we're putting enough emphasis on the mental toll that these tests take on students. A really popular saying that's been going around is finals week or my final week. And I think it kind of reflects this doomed mentality I think a lot of students are feeling this week. And I think in the future, we should look into doing things such as expanding mental health support or counseling resources during finals to really help students feel more prepared emotionally. Okay. On a more positive note on finals, I wanted to give thanks to the Burbank High School Special Ed Department. My brother's enrolled and he had his first finals week in the special ed department there. And I think it's really incredible that they're providing a true finals week even in special education and kind of taking finals week and scaling it to something that fits all students' education and where they're at. I never thought I would have the experience of my brother and I both taking our Spanish finals on the same day, because I never thought he would have the experience of being able to take a Spanish class and a history class and being able to participate in finals in a way that's academically stimulating and engaging to him. And it really gives me a lot of hope for special education in this district, and I really hope that we can really move towards a model like that and kind of providing that quality of education to all students with disabilities in our district. And then on a little bit more of a negative and upsetting note, I think one thing that's been really worrying students recently is the ICE raids in our area, and I think I want to acknowledge that this is a really stressful time for undocumented students, but also students with undocumented family members and friends. And I think it's really important that now of any time, we ensure that SUSD is a safe place for students. And even if we can't control what's going on at a national level, we can do things in our own community to make these students feel supported, to know that they're part of our community, part of SUSD, that we care about them, that we want to fight with them, and that we want to ensure their safety and that they can attain a good quality education without having to worry excessively about what's going to happen in the future. But yeah, that's all for today.
Thank you. Superintendent Allen.
Thank you, President Singh. This week, enrollment started for our transitional kindergarten and kindergarten programs. I would like to welcome our newest families to Sac City Unified who have already registered. For those families with young children who have not registered yet, please don't wait. Register early. Many of our schools have limited spaces, so it's important to register early to secure a spot at your neighborhood school. Also, a reminder for our current K-8 families, the application window for the 2025-26 open enrollment will begin February the 3rd at 8 a.m. Information on the schools and programs that will be participating and the application process will be available later this month. Monday is Martin Luther King Day. And although our schools will be closed, I know many of our Sac City students, staff, and families will be honoring Dr. King's legacy at the March for the Dream at Sac City College on Monday morning. Our commitment to equity and justice is a source of pride for Sac City Unified, and I thank you for participating. And in the spirit of engagement, I would like to share that the Black Parallel School Board is hosting Black Parent Family Involvement Day on Tuesday, February the 18th. It is an annual event during Black History Month that invites all parents to engage with their students' education by observing classes and meeting teachers. Families can also prepare by attending a parent classroom observation training on February the 13th. This is a virtual session, and it will equip families with the tools to effectively observe and support your child's learning environment. And then lastly, I would like to formally and officially say that tomorrow is a great day because it is Member Kayada's birthday. So I want to say happy birthday tomorrow to Member Kayada.
There you go. Oh.
Very sweet.
And I'm turning 40.
Very brave of you to announce your age. Information sharing by board members. Mr. Rhodes.
Okay, so I want to take a personal moment of privilege to just congratulate all of the students that went through finals. And I want to specifically congratulate my son, Kingston, for acing his English and Spanish class. And so I'm super excited about that. So since I'm here, Kingston, Rhodes, you're amazing. And then also Monday, please join us at Sac City College for, I believe, the 46th annual. But we'll be marching, and I'll be emceeing the event. So please come out. Mike B is going to be on the stage with me. Trustee Benjamin's going to be on the stage as well. As we MC the event that day. So Sacramento Unified School District will be in full effect. Your elected officials will be there with you on this march. So it's super exciting. I invite all of my colleagues to come out and have a good time celebrating a great man that changed a lot of things for our community. And that'll be all.
Thank you, Member Rhodes. Member Ibarra.
Okay, so I have a couple of things this evening. First one is it was such an honor to join you, Justine. If you all have never heard of pep rallies at West Campus, let me tell you, they have a lot of school spirit. Yeah. And what Justine failed to share was that the junior class won like the most, I can't remember what was it? Most spirited, like overall. Which I thought was really cool because I got to experience that. So thank you. I encourage other board members, if you have an opportunity to go to a pep rally in your area, to do that. Couple of other things I wanted to share this evening. One of the organizations that I work with is ACE, if you've never heard of them. Two of the things that they focus on right now, are focusing a lot on right now, is housing and immigration. And so on Tuesday, January 21st, we have a meeting coming up, and I say we because I am part of the many families in our district that have challenges because of the the rising rent constantly. And so these are spaces where I want to invite families to come because this is how we create collective change. So again, that's January 21st. If you follow me on Facebook, I will keep you updated there. And then lastly, I know that this wasn't an agendized item, but I just want to make a comment on it because I've heard it come up a couple of different times around the topic of being a safe haven district. California is a sanctuary state when we think about how we are protecting our students, but I'm going to be the first to say that if you ask me right now where we would provide sanctuary to a family if they were to approach this building right now, I don't have an answer for you, and that doesn't sit well with me because I represent many undocumented families. So I just want you to know that I've been working closely with some district staff who are doing a lot of great work right now, and there, hopefully we can improve in some of those areas. So yes, we serve a lot of undocumented families. Yes, there's always room for improvement, and I just wanted to share that it is happening. You don't always hear about what's happening, but our families are our priority right now, and so I just wanted to share that. I don't know if I could or should have, but I did. That is all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Member Kayada.
All right, so like Member Rhodes, I also wanted to take a point of personal privilege. As Superintendent mentioned, as I approach the next part of my life. So I just wanted to acknowledge this board, which is truly the best board that I've ever seen in this district, and already in the limited time we've been working together, I know we're on our way to doing amazing things. I know also that the work we do is just incredibly difficult, very personal, and there is so much that goes on beyond the scenes that we don't see, so I just wanted to appreciate everyone. Jose, Tara, April, Justine, Jajit, Chinwa, Mike B., thank you all for joining us on this journey to make this city and this district better. I also wanted to acknowledge, my own approach to my work in this board, and to recommit myself to ensuring we do the absolute best we can do for this district. So I know I wear my heart on my sleeve, and sometimes I'm sitting there like, wow, how did this go down? And I just wanted to acknowledge that I am fully committed to making sure that I reach out to everyone, no matter what, if there's something I'm feeling, or if there's something I think that we need to be doing to improve the district. And I hope you all know that my phone is always open to you all as well. And then finally, I just wanted to take a moment to fully acknowledge, I've done it before, but our amazing superintendent, Lisa Allen, really the hardest job in the world, seriously. You have 7 bosses who are constantly coming at you with different priorities, and you have me. So, you are truly a rock star, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you. So, thank you.
Thank you, Member Kayada. Very introspective for 40. It's pretty good. Member Benjamin.
I just want to say, again, I'm glad to be a part of this board as well. I'm excited about what I believe we're going to accomplish coming up. But I also want to say too that yes, the march will start at Sac City College, but we do the extra mile, and it starts at Oak Park Community Center. And that's the march I've been a part of since 1985 when it was Sacramento Boulevard and then changed over to Martin Luther King Boulevard. I firmly believe, right, that the march should start on Martin Luther King Boulevard. But we will have an extra mile that will start at 8 o'clock at Oak Park Community Center and then go to Sac City at 9, and then we'll make I think it's called the Loop of Love. So for those of you, that's my Area 7, come on down. We'll be at Oak Park Community Center at 8 a.m. We'll march to Sac City College, and then we'll march along with everyone else.
Thank you. Member Navarro.
Turn on the mic, so I got to get used to turning on the mic. So I just wanted to echo the sentiment of student board member and member Ibarra about a safe haven. I haven't discussed it with many of you, so I won't actually introduce an action or a motion, but I want us to keep an eye on that and to make sure that we are we talk about the best way to protect our communities, and that means our students. And if kids are afraid to go to school, then we are going to lose money on ADA as well if you want to put money spent to it. So I'm really concerned about it. I'm not going to introduce a motion now, but I would like to talk to you guys about revisiting that possibility of strengthening maybe our safe haven policies. Just something to think about. And I will be joining Michael Benjamin and Chino Rhodes on the Martin Luther King Day. So I'll see you guys on Monday. I was going to say something else. Oh, yeah, and I'm really thankful to be up here with this group of people, all you guys, and also students and board member and our superintendent and all the assistant superintendents and actually everybody that's still here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So Member Navarro will be at Oak Park Community Center at 8 a.m. on Monday morning.
You have to tell him 7:30, so he's up there on time.
Member Chu Griffith, go ahead.
Sorry to prolong this meeting, but I want to take a moment of personal privilege as well to congratulate my brother in the flesh. He's here after his grueling PE final. He's come to Cerna Center to exercise his civic engagement. I just want to thank him for coming out and I guess showing the strength of all the special education students at our district. Hi, Kai.
Thank you. So I'll just try to close out quickly. Just a couple of things. I'll first really quickly address the policy of protecting students. I think it's been mentioned. I think it's just good to reiterate that we currently have a policy. And I also want to reiterate the legal policy basically, which says unless under exigent circumstances and through special permission from our superintendent, there is ICE cannot come onto a campus. So I want to be clear that that is already a policy, that it does exist, but I also want to acknowledge the importance of informing community and finding the best way to inform community. And that's a conversation I think this board should have on what that, how that information should go out. I want us to be mindful about information spread and also how information spread leads to unwanted attention. Let's leave it at that. I also want to acknowledge something that I've talked about since the war in Israel started, and I want to acknowledge that there is a ceasefire agreement. I'm sure all of us know that. I appreciate the fact that there's a ceasefire agreement. It's however many months too late, but nonetheless, I hope that there is work towards finding peace and there's work towards addressing longstanding concerns. I don't know where else to spread my views and my thoughts on things like this, but at the very least for those who are here, for our students, for our families who are affected, for anyone who has tried to understand how to understand war while living 6,000 miles away, it absolutely has profound effects on all of us, whether we actually realize it or not. So I just hope that we can find a lot of love in 2025 because we're going to need it. And MLK Day is going to be an important day because there's many things happening on MLK Day. We're going to focus on MLK. I think that's it. So I appreciate all the comments today. We are going to move on to 12.0 consent agenda, but prior to taking any action on the agenda, I want to clarify that one item, 12.1, expulsion number 19 has been pulled off the agenda. It will not be voted on by the board. So with that, I'm going to open it up to public comment and see if we have any.
We have none.
All right. Do we have an emotion, not an emotion, a motion to approve all items on consent? Do we have a second?
I move to.
Second.
Did I?
Okay. Member Jean with the motion, Member Navarro with the second. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Benjamin? Aye. Member Navarro?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Ibarra?
Aye.
Thank you. And item 13.0, do we have to, does Janae have to come up for that? Okay. All right. Future board meetings right here in the future. Thank you.